electronic devices to silent. And welcome everybody to what is a significant agenda for Council this evening. I'd also like to welcome those viewers at home who are watching the meeting via the live stream. If I could ask you, if you could please be upstanding, and could I ask you, Deputy Mayor Perkoff, if you could read the opening prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions, to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all that we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
And Councillor Hatton, if you could read the acknowledgement of country, please.
On behalf of elected members, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, on which this meeting is taking place, and show our respect for elders past, present and emerging.
Thanks. You can all take your seats. Thanks. Without prior approval, any recording of this meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution of Council prior to written advice from the City being received. That brings us to item 1, which is the official opening. So I will open the meeting and declare the Council meeting of the 7th July open at 6:30 p.m. I'll now move to a public apology, and I advise the meeting that a complaint was made to the Local Government Standards Panel in which it was alleged that I contravened the Local Government Model Code of Conduct 2021 when at the Electors General meeting held in March 2025, I prevented the complainant from asking a question and treated him in a disrespectful manner. The panel found that behaving in this manner, I committed one breach of Regulation 18(1)(b) of the said regulations. I accept that I should not have acted in such a manner, and I now apologise to Mr Roland Hadley for having done so. Move to item 2, apologies, and we have Councillor Thornton as an apology. We don't have any other apologies this evening. Item 3 is approved leave of absence. Councillor Joe Ferranti is on a leave of absence from the 1st of July to the 29th of July 2026. Item 4, disclosure of interest. From the Planning and Development Committee on the 16th of June 26, there were no disclosures. And from Community and Resource Committee on the 30th of June, there were 4 disclosures, which are on the screen behind me. Mr Slents, do you have any other disclosures?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have received a couple. First one is from Councillor Giudice for item 13.1, the ECU structure plan. It's the financial interest as Councillor Giudice is employed by Development WA, who is the applicant for this item. I've also received a declaration of financial interest from the Chief Executive Office, Mr Stephen Roddick, for item 18.1. The Chief Executive Officer Performance Criteria 2627, as this item relates to his employment contract, and that was a financial interest. And a declaration of interest from myself, Mr Mayor, for same item 18.1, Chief Executive Officer Performance Criteria 2627. It's an impartiality interest, as I have an employment relationship with the CEO and was the author of the report. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, do I have any disclosures you want to declare at the moment? If not, we'll keep an eye out during the meeting. Item 5, petitions. Councillors, there are no verified petitions. Do you have any unverified petitions you wish to table this evening? There's no indication, councillors? No. Item 6, responses to previous questions from members of the public taken on notice, and there are 2 responses to previous questions. They're shown on page 13 of the agenda. We'll now move to item 7, public question time. Please note, everyone in the gallery, we do have a few people asking questions tonight. I just want you to note this is not the time, we will be, and it's an odd situation tonight, but we're bringing an item forward after this where we're allowing Mr Ray Levin, Mariam Yacoub and Megan Gammon to do deputations. Tracy Dembo, if she's here as well. If you want to speak on item 13.1, then if you're not one of those on the list, then if you come up during public question time, let me know during public question time you're able to ask a question, if that makes sense. And I'll move to public question time and ask Marie Georgie if you'd like to come forward to start us. And as you're the first up, if you could turn the microphone on, just the bottom right-hand silver button, thank you. Your name and suburb and your question.
Thank you. Marie Georgie, Hammersley. Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. My name is Marie Georgie, convener of the Friends of Erindale Road Bushland. Our group's objectives are to advocate for the protection and conservation of the Banksia and Chort woodland at the Hammersley Broadcast Tower site, undertake activities that support this aim and raise public awareness of the site's environmental and conservation significance. Following a recent community meeting with Dr. Anne Ali, attended by Councillors Hatton and Perkov, a resolution was put forward to take action to preserve and formally protect the Erindale Road bushland as a Bush Forever reserve. In light of this, I respectfully ask the following questions. Will the City reaffirm its commitment to taking all reasonable steps within its authority to support and work towards achieving the outcomes for protection of this bushland?
Thank you for that question. Yes, the simple answer is yes. Look, upon notification of the clearing permit applications, the City submitted responses to both the State and the Commonwealth Environmental Assessment Agencies. In these submissions, the City explicitly stated it does not support the clearing of the Banksia woodland and the Chort woodland ecological communities, and it's been clear, and the councillors, I think, have been clear throughout the whole time.
Thank you. My second question. Noting previous advice from the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage that this bushland would be an important addition to the Karrakatta Central and South Complex, which is currently underrepresented in Bush Forever, will the City write to the State Government to advocate for its protection and endorse the nomination of the Erindale Road bushland for Bush Forever status?
Thank you. Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for your question, Ms Georgie. In the City's submission to the State and Commonwealth agencies, the City noted the Karrakatta complex, both central and south, is underrepresented in the City of Stirling and should be retained. The City asserted to the State and Commonwealth that Lot 802 and Lot 803 is consistent with a number of other Bush Forever listed bushlands within the City.
And my last question. The Western Australian Local Government Association's local biodiversity planning guidelines support the identification, protection and management of locally significant natural areas. Will the City write to WOLGA seeking its support to endorse the nomination of the Erindale Road bushland for Bush Forever status?
Yeah, we know someone there. So yes, yes, we'll contact WOLGA's environmental team. We'll discuss those advocacy opportunities.
Great, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Carol Flemmer.
Carol Flemmer from Waterman's Bay.
Evening.
And my question is as follows. I'd first like to say that the City is to be congratulated on the draft plan for the future Stirling 26 to 36. And having attended some of the public consultation meetings, it seems to accurately represent the diversity of concerns. My question to the City is this. What process will the City employ to decide which, if any, of these 5 subcategories is given priority?
Ms Walsencroft.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for the question, Ms Flemmer. I'm assuming you mean the 5 key result areas that are included in the... Yeah. They're not ranked in order of priority, and I guess no one key result area is considered more important than the other. Together they work in harmony to support the City's overall vision and balance the priorities across those key areas. So our community, our economy, our built environment, our natural environment, and then our organisational leadership. And while they are equally important, the City undertook an extensive community engagement program as part of the major review of the plan, with more than 1,700 people contributing through that process. And you can see the outcomes of that engagement on page 20 to 23 of the plan. And there were 6 key priority areas identified by the community through that process, and those priorities have informed the development of the strategic community plan, but also the corporate business plan and the annual budget that you'll also see on the agenda tonight, and ultimately supporting the vision of the City to be a sustainable city with a local focus.
Thank you. My second question is that I have a concern that a small minority of activists is constantly trying to disproportionately skew the agenda. How does the City plan to manage this?
Look, any public consultation we do involves obviously differing views, and same with public question time. We get varying questions on different issues. The City or the council will make its decisions based on merit, or make its a balanced view based on the strategic priorities of the city, the information put before it on officers, and taking on board all of those different comments from community, whether they come through in a petition or public question time or what have you, and we'll take those on merit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Britton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
And just your name and suburb to start, please.
My name is Bob Britton and I'm from Wembley Downs. I'm here representing, I guess, most of the freshwater anglers of WA, but in particular Stirling. And my question comes from the committee meeting. Given that the committee meeting acknowledged that the perpetrators of wildlife cruelty, disrespect and threatening behaviour are a tiny minority of kids, and that their behaviour is unlikely to be affected by this ban on fishing. In fact, even Mr Quirk told us that it's not a silver bullet. The only people who are likely to conform to the ban are legitimate and responsible anglers. So my question really is a rhetorical one, and one for councillors' conscience. Why would councillors vote in favour of a ban when it is unlikely to resolve the matter that we're all so anxious to fix?
Thank you. And look, obviously council will consider that committee recommendation tonight.
Thank you. My second question is, anglers are 100% behind stopping wildlife cruelty and preventing the feral behaviour that we've seen and experienced. Instead of voting in favour of the ban, would the council instead consider establishing a working group to equitably resolve this matter? It would be comprised of executive and administrative staff, Recfish West, angling representatives and the wildlife protection advocates. And our mission would be to develop a paid registration and licensing system for anglers and a code of conduct by which we're obliged to carry our fishing out by. By contributing funds towards the Costa Rangers, this would progress a practical means of managing and enforcing the aberrant behaviour of these feral kids. My question to the council tonight is whether or not the council would support such an idea.
Look, and so the first part of that is this is a matter for council to decide tonight in terms of the committee recommendation. I will get Mr Quirk just to outline quickly, if he can, some of the collaboration that's already happening.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question. Look, this issue does require a multifaceted response, and we're doing that at the moment in collaboration with WA Police and RSPCA WA, and more recently engaging with Recfish as well. Look, I think we'll wait and see what happens tonight with the local law provisions, and that will give us a guide as to what the next steps look like. I suspect some of the ideas you put forward around a registration system is not something as a city that we would necessarily pursue, not traditionally a role of local government, but because this is a complex issue, we're really open-minded about what the next steps look like. But that first one being what happens with the prohibition of fishing. So happy to engage with you and Recfish West further after tonight.
Thank you, Mr Quirk. My third question is, mindful that my complaint that I made on the 30th of June committee meeting against Councillor Thornton was aired in the wrong forum, I wish to apologise to the chair of that meeting and the committee members, and in particular Councillor Thornton, who I understand is absent tonight. But I would like to know, should I wish to take the matter further, what is the correct procedure to follow such a matter?
Thank you. Mr Salents.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In terms of the complaints management process, that's all detailed under the city's adopted code of conduct, and the information is available on the city's website.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
James Halliwell.
James Halliwell, Nullamara.
Evening.
Thanks, Mr Mayor and councillors. I've got 3 questions this evening, broadly relating to Verge collections. They're all pretty brief. So the first question is, given the delays in the tender process to secure a suitable contractor to carry out the Balga Ward's bulk verge collections trial, can the community still expect this trial to begin in August, as recently stated?
Yeah, Mr Murphy?
Through you, Chair, and thank you for the question. At the Council meeting on 9th of June, Council resolved not to award a contract through the initial procurement process and instead proceed to an open tender. And as a result of that, the trial will not commence in August. There'll now be an open tender process with a contract award, and a contract is not expected to be appointed until October 2026. But the City will provide further information to affected residents once the procurement's been completed and we have some new timescales.
Thank you. And my second question relates to the recent introduction of on-demand lounge pickups. With this month marking the start of the city's offer to collect a lounge for its residents once a year free of charge, why has the city chosen to offer this service as an either-or option with their existing offer to provide one skip bin a year free of charge?
Thank you, Mr Murphy.
Yeah, through you, Chair. The lounge suite collection is currently a trial, and it was introduced in response to community feedback, which identified difficulties with placing large furniture items such as lounges into skip bins. So based on this feedback, the service being offered as an alternative to the existing skip bin allowance for the 26-27 financial year for the trial period, and it allows the city to assess the demand, the cost and the community benefit while remaining within existing budgets. I mean, the trial will help us determine the value to residents, and it'll be considered then by council as part of future long-term waste service arrangements.
Thank you. And my final question is, given some of these changes, what means of communication does the city intend to use in financial year 26-27 to help the average Balga Ward resident better understand what they can and can't do with regards to items on their verges, skip bins and the verge collections trial?
Thank you. Mr Murphy?
Yeah, through you, Chair. The City will continue its broad waste education and illegal dumping awareness activities, including a planned further rollout of the Undelivered campaign, which promotes responsible disposal options, and it really aims to improve community understanding of the available waste services and collection arrangements. There'll also be a targeted communication programme for residents participating in the proposed bulk waste trial, which will include direct mail to affected households, information on the website, detailed frequently asked questions, collection calendars, customer service briefing materials, and reminder communications through the collection period. The communications in all aspects will explain what materials can be presented for collection, how the trial impacts existing skip bin and lounge suite entitlements, collection dates, and where residents can obtain further information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I'm just checking because we did receive questions in advance from Ben Kroll. I don't know if Ben's here. Probably. And Rees Barrett. I don't believe they're here, but I was just checking. Okay. Paul Collins, would you like to come forward? Just your name and suburb.
Paul Collins of Dianella, and good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors and staff. Mr Mayor, I talk on item 13.4, the statutory budget for 26-27. Mr Mayor, the City of Stirling has a spending problem. Mr Mayor, did you get that? It has a spending problem. It consistently budgets to spend more than it earns. Last year it was $15 million more. This year it is $11 million more. Expenditure in this year's budget rises $21 million, but revenue only $6 million. And these are compared to last year's actual figures. We know the city has a spending problem because the city is proposing to increase commercial and industrial rates by 6.9%. Now, you might think that commercial and industrial landlords are rich. Well, guess who pays these rates? The tenants. 85% of small businesses pay your commercial rates that you've just increased by nearly 7%. In this budget tonight, we can see you have a spending problem because you need to change the rules of the reserves. You've got to open the reserves, we can see, and destroy the intergenerational equity that was created in 2015-16. One of those changes, well, they're both explained on pages 567 and 568 of your budget. And that the first one is the investment income reserve. Investment accounts, dividends from equities, dividends and rents from capital, from property purchases and bonds were held in this account to purchase future property. It was a future fund. But you're changing the purpose of that reserve tonight to no longer link it to a council strategy. And worse, you're saying that it can now be used for general purpose funding. And immediately, you've taken $7.5 million from the capital reserve to spend for general purpose funding in this year's budget.
Mr Collins, I do need you to get it to a question if you can, please.
Okay. And then you've come to the capital reserve fund and you've made similar changes, removed oversight by council, removed its link to a strategy. And so recommendations 9 and 10 in your agenda on the budget tonight, I ask council to not to destroy the intergenerational equity, and I ask council to put those items separately and not pass and not vote for recommendations 9 and 10, because the only way you're going to control expenditure is to stop opening the money box. That's the question.
Thank you. And that item is obviously on the agenda this evening for council to consider, Mr Collins.
Second question. I note a leave of absence from Councillor Ferranti this evening, but I noted in the last agenda the agenda for the last council meeting of 2025, that Mr Ferranti was approved to attend an artificial intelligence conference in Geneva, staying at the 5-star Marriott Hotel for a conference between the 7th and 10th of July. Mr Mayor, given his leave of absence, is this conference a junket?
No, Mr Collins.
Mr Mayor, question 3. Are you aware that state parliamentarians are limited in their 4-year term to a maximum $30,000 over the 4 years for conference expenditure? And yet your budget tonight and policies approve a 4-year expenditure for the 15 of you tonight of over $42,000. Controlling expenditure begins with the very councillors and the mayor in the room. Will you make changes to that to at least reduce it to match to the state parliamentarians in tonight's budget consideration?
Thank you for that question. And that item obviously is on the agenda for council consideration this evening as well, Mr Collins.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Chris Farley. And as you come up, Mr Farley, I'll just rule to extend public question time as we've now been in progress for 15 minutes. Your name and suburb, please, to start.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Chris Farley from Dianella. Mr Mayor, can you give me just 30 seconds to talk about Dianella Junior Soccer Club before we ask our first question?
Yes.
Dianella Junior Soccer Club has been a winter user of Yokine Regional Open Space East for 16 years, thanks to the support of Councillor Terry Tyzack, who supported the move. The club began life in 1989 as the soccer club for OLA Primary School, and their home ground was Rowley Mellor Park in Dianella. We are a true local community club that offers hundreds of kids the opportunity to play community sport in a safe and welcoming environment. Importantly, we manage this by offering our members the chance to play football at a fraction of the cost of other neighbouring clubs. And my first question is, our club has grown following the move from Wordsworth Reserve 16 years ago. We would love to continue expanding our commitment to all-inclusive football with the Football Futures Foundation, offering more children from lower socio-economic backgrounds and those with intellectual or physical disabilities the chance to play sport. And we would like to keep building our all-girls presence across every age group from under 6 to under 18s. But the one thing that inhibits growth is the basic infrastructure, namely inadequate flood lighting and lack of storage space. What would the potential be for improved additional lighting and other infrastructure to be installed at Yokine ROS East?
Thank you. Mr Quirk?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, we acknowledge that Dianella Junior Soccer Club is one of our clubs that has grown the most over the last decade, as many of our large football and soccer clubs have, particularly those that are based at our regional open spaces. We are currently looking at our forward plan for floodlighting and clubroom upgrades, and indeed a notice of motion on the council agenda tonight is a precursor to that planning exercise. We know that can't always happen in the time frame that clubs would like, but we're a big city with lots of clubs.
Thank you. Our second question is, we are extremely supportive of the increase in year-round community use, such as the arrival of Inglewood Little Athletics to Yokine this summer. But there is anxiety amongst our members and our families that we will be overlooked, and any chance of growth prevented by additional clubs from other locations moving in. We currently have 400 registered players, and every year we reluctantly turn away more than 100 new children that are desperate to play sport. Will the existing resident clubs be treated favourably as a result of any infrastructure upgrades?
Thank you for that question, Mr Farley. I can answer that and say the simple answer is yes. As funding priorities from the state government get tighter and tighter and those significant merit-based funding pools shrink, there is more chance of getting funding for sharing of facilities. The current clubs certainly won't be overlooked.
Thank you. And lastly, if I may, as part of any process, is it safe to assume that the existing resident clubs will be properly consulted on any proposals?
Yes, you have my word, Mr Farley.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Fiona Caldwell. Just your name and suburb.
My name is Fiona Caldwell. I'm in Osborne Park, 6017.
And your question, please.
Oh, the question I have for you, Mr Mayor, if you don't mind stepping out of the dock and come towards me.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, weak, that's fine. No, pardon me. What I want to ask you, Mr Mayor, is that why that every person on the council votes for or against fishing, yet you vote for fishing when 3 black swans have been killed in our wetlands? Mr Mayor, answer me.
Yeah, thank you for that question.
Go.
I beg your pardon?
I said, respond.
Thank you for that question. We can all vote because we're a democracy. So what you want is 15 people sitting around in this chamber with differing views and voting accordingly. I've been very clear in my vote, and I think I've done that in debate. I don't think I need to do it again tonight, but it's not because I don't think that we should be monitoring it. I just don't personally believe that that was the right process to use, which is why I exercised my vote.
Okay, in response
Your second
to that,
question, please.
I would like to continue, please.
You can ask your second question, please.
Thank you. So my second question would be that when everyone voted to ban the fishing unanimously, and you were the only person who voted for it, and you're the mayor. So my question is, why would you do that?
I just gave my reason, and to be clear, it wasn't unanimous because I voted against it. But that's a committee recommendation that will come to council this evening.
Okay, my third question is then, so that wasn't unanimous, so like everyone voted against you and you were the only person that voted for it. It wasn't unanimous because it was only you that voted against it. You voted for fishing in our wetlands, which is a sanctuary of our flora and fauna, and 3 black swans have been killed, along with other ducks as well. So my question to you, Mr Mayor, how can you justify that?
Because the item that was before committee was regarding a property local law, not regarding fishing. So I voted against a property local law. That was the item that was before this council.
Okay,
and I exercised my right.
My
Thank you for
question.
So I'm sorry you don't get 4 questions. But thank you for your 3 questions. And I will ask Roland Hadley if you'd like to come forward now. And I'm happy to contact you offline if you'd like to talk about it. Your name and suburb?
Good evening, Roland Hadley, Woodlands. Mayor Irwin, please confirm that you have now been charged and found guilty of 3 breaches under the Code of Conduct of the State Government Local Act 1995.
No. Thank you. Your second question?
That question was on behalf of the Ewan Street and other community groups and interested parties outside the City of Stirling. Second question. On behalf of, again, community groups, I have asked at 3 consecutive council meetings if the ratepayer loan provided to Mayor Irwin has been repaid, an amount of approximately $4,000. This loan was to contest a charge breach of the Local Government Act in 1995. However, as Mayor Irwin withdrew the appeal, the normal expectation would be for the loan to be repaid. It transpires that Mayor Irwin went behind closed doors at a council meeting to persuade this council to alter the policy in order that he did not have to repay this loan. Mayor Irwin, if an elected member seeks to go behind closed doors to deliberately amend a long-term established policy to influence fellow elected members on council, it would be considered as a serious breach of the Local Government Act. Any comment?
Yes, if you believe that has happened, you should put that in writing to the Manager of Governance and he can follow it up. And your third question?
Indeed. Will the council provide full individual details for the mayor, CEO and councillors who attended the National Association of Local Government Councils in Canberra? Airfares, accommodation, registration fees, incidental expenses. Similarly for Councillor Joe Ferranti, who's attending an AI conference in Geneva. 3 councillors attending the women's course in Adelaide, and the individual costs again for the 2 trips to California for Mayor Mark Irwin and CEO Steve Roddick. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Slentz will provide you that in writing. Heather Morton. Thank you. And just your name and suburb, please.
Heather Morton from Menora. I'm representing Alexander Park Craft House. The council has supported fibre and textile arts and crafts at Alexander Park Craft House for the last 31 years. The ECU administration building that is likely to be retained as part of the ECU redevelopment has a visual arts exhibition space along with a nearby visual arts studio. As the council currently doesn't have a dedicated exhibition space, is it possible to encourage the council to consider retaining both of these spaces?
Thank you. I'll get Mr. Quirk to provide some information on those spaces.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, whilst we don't have direct control on that outcome, through Development WA, we are currently engaged with the Department of Creative Industries, Tourism and Sport regarding their business case for those facilities. So we'll certainly be advocating for local creative industries infrastructure.
Thank you. My second question was about that Creative Industries Hub. There's currently a survey regarding the formation of the Creative Industries Hub. So once again, is the council likely to support this as part of the redevelopment?
Thank you. Mr. Quirk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, we'll be putting forward what we think are the local arts and cultural industry requirements, recognising that the state government and the department will have their own imperatives, but we are concurrently looking at cultural infrastructure across the city to try and fill some of those gaps that you identified.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leisha Jack. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. staff, people in the gallery. Sorry if I cough. I was handling fiberglass bats on the weekend. I didn't realise, someone told me they were real wool, not fiberglass wool. So it's not, I'm not coughing germs,
That's all
just
right.
so you know, because I have coughing fits.
I hope you're wearing a mask, Miss Jack.
Well, it's not germs. That's why I thought rather than wear a mask, I'd just
I mean for your fiberglass bats.
Oh, no, I know, but the person told me it was pure wool bats, real wool bats. They are wool, you can get them, but they turned out they weren't. Anyway, never listen to anyone who's got 2 PhDs. So Leisha Jack Karrinup.
Thank you.
Given that tonight's agenda is once again very big, 688 questions, and packed with so many important environmental items, I don't know where to start, so I thought I'd start by asking a couple of questions about agendas. 10 years ago, the population, question number one, 10 years ago the population of City of Stirling was 220,000. Today it's over 254,000. This means more items to come before council and more ratepayers and residents to ask questions at council meetings. Yet under your mayorship, Mr Irwin, the number of ordinary council meetings has been decreasing rather than increasing with the population. This year there will only be 15 ordinary council meetings and last year 16 compared to 19 in 2013. This means less public question time sessions and therefore less public questions that can be asked. Mr Mayor, could you please explain why there are fewer ordinary council meetings under your mayorship?
Yeah, thank you for that. It's not because of my decision that there's less council meetings, but in most cases it would basically be that whilst the population is growing, the delegations to offices under the Local Government Act have changed, and also many of the planning items that council used to deal with are no longer dealt with. So that delegation has been taken away from local governments. I'll get Mr Silence to provide some comments.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In terms of 2026, minus the ones that have recently been cancelled, council has 16 council meetings in a calendar year. And in my experience, most local governments generally only have 11. But as the Mayor alluded to, in terms of agenda items and how big agendas are, of course, just depends on the decision making that is required of council at any given time.
With all due respect, we're a very large council, so therefore have a lot more items. Anyway, I have been, question two, I've been coming to council meetings for 16 years now. I've also noticed under your mayorship, Mayor Irwin, the loading of agendas with multiple controversial and important items at times, especially those pertaining to environmental issues, is happening more frequently. Big loaded agendas deter readers from by overloading them with too much information. They dilute debate and also reduce the number of questions that the public can ask on any particular item. You've also started using, at times, these large agendas as an excuse to cut short questions due to the lack of time because the agenda's so big, and have even refused people from asking questions unless their questions were provided in writing, not that day at noon, but now the day before at noon. So that's also changed. So these tactics all serve collectively to reduce public questions and therefore public scrutiny of important agenda items. This is a concerning, undemocratic pattern of behaviour in this, as you noted earlier, democracy. So, Mr Mayor, could you possibly direct the CEO to better spread out the agenda items? Because some agendas only have 230 pages, 300 pages, 330 pages, rather than loading so many important items into one agenda. Is that possible? Can something be done about that?
We'll certainly take your comments on board, Ms Jack. And look, all I can say is you're probably overestimating my influence if you think I've had anything to do with it. The Local Government Act, the Local Government Act states that public question time should go for 15 minutes. We have a track record of going well over that, as you see tonight.
It's a very big council, Mr Mayor, a lot of agendas.
I know, and there's a full gallery and everyone's asking questions and getting answers. So I don't believe that's the case. I'll get Mr Salents to provide you some more information.
Well, there's more I could add to that, but anyway, democratic things. Okay, number 3. Mr Mayor, you and the city have stated publicly and in writing that the proposed boardwalk from Scarborough to South Trigg would be good for tourism. Has the city produced a detailed marketing plan to back up this tourism claim? And if so, could you please provide me with a copy?
Thank you for that question. No, it hasn't.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Nikhil Makandala. Thank you. Just your name and suburb, then your question.
Nikhil Mukundala, Stirling. And apologies, I'm just pulling up the questions. So whilst there are proactive talks in place with the police, RSPCA, etc., what is the city's position in regards to how offenders and these reports of phishing incidents will be dealt with in the here and now, while we do wait for proactive talks to continue and for you guys to arrive at a solution? I do have a little bit of context as well, which I'll try and elaborate on, if that's okay. Or
you can keep going with your question if you.
Throughout this meeting, the council has made it abundantly clear that this is an important matter, but so far over the past 1.5 years, rangers have only seemed to perform duties when given a push from either higher-ups or receiving enormous amounts of complaints, etc., from residents. And I do acknowledge that rangers have several other duties, such as attending dog attacks, which seems to be a reason that I'm given frequently when asked why there are delays. So my question is, what exactly will be done in the here and now with regards to rangers for the time being while the COS continues to collaborate?
Yeah, Mr Quirk.
Through Mr Mayor, and thank you for your question. Look, the Rangers and Community Patrol team have been on site more than 400 times this financial year. So they are patrolling the area, they are responding to resident concerns where they can. Rightly, as you mentioned, they are stretched across a large city, sometimes dealing with more urgent issues. In the immediate future, we will continue to collaborate, particularly with WA Police, who are taking a more active role, but pursuing these young individuals is going to continue to be challenging, but the city will continue to put in the same amount of effort that we have been in collaboration with some of those partners.
Thank you for that. And I do understand that you've also acknowledged that there's been several hundred attendance events that have occurred, but I would also like to note that a lot of these events rangers basically just sort of patrol the park, don't actually get down to try and find the offenders at all, and there'd be kids just hiding behind a bush or something like that. So I guess, is there a better sort of consistent sort of presence that can be applied by rangers, and more clear kind of directives to be given to them? I know some directives have already been made, but can there be a bigger sort of push from the council when it comes to that?
I think, so Mr Quirk has answered. I think, to be clear, that rangers only have very limited powers, and a child with a fishing rod or someone in a bush is not something a ranger can do anything about. But recently, council has resolved to investigate rangers getting more powers, and those powers will allow them to take things further.
I acknowledge that, but I mean, if a ranger's not actually getting down out of the car...
This has to be your third question, though. Is that...
That's fine.
Yeah.
Apologies, bear with me here.
No, that's all right.
If a ranger's not getting out of a car, deciding to patrol the area, and let's say it happens to be one of those kids who might commit an offence like animal cruelty, right? And they have supposedly attended the event when even just their presence might have, stopped them from intentionally, leaving their hook on the ground, or, leaving their line in the water, which would have ended up, hooking a swan or whatever other sort of bird. like, wouldn't that be fair to say that, you know, they should be doing that? I mean, you're saying that they have very limited powers, but I don't think it's, you know, it's not within their power to step out of their vehicle.
Thank you. I'll get Mr Quirk to respond.
Through you, Mr Mayor, look, the rangers and community patrol officers will either undertake proactive patrols or reactive patrols. So generally where there's a specific complaint about an offence and an individual that they can try and go and find and deal with, they will. If they're just doing proactive patrols, they may indeed not get out of the vehicle unless they see something that is suspect in nature. So it really depends on whether they're doing proactive or reactive patrols. It isn't practical for them to hop out of their car and patrol the wetlands every single time they're in the area. We just don't have that resource capacity and probably never will.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. That's all I have on my list. Is there anyone I've missed?
No.
Yes?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. You've had your questions.
Oh, but I
No,
pay
we
your
can
wages.
we can take it offline.
That's all right. No, I take it.
Is that Rob Murphy?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just your name and suburb?
Robin Murphy, Karrinyup. Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. My question is why, when a motion was carried at the 2026 Electors' General Meeting that the city not waste any more ratepayers' money above the $500 million already allocated on a coastal boardwalk feasibility study, does it remain in the 2026-2030 corporate business plan?
Thank you. Ms Waldencroft?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for the question, Ms Murphy. The city has not yet expended that original allocation of that budget, and you'll see in the corporate business plan that there is no additional funds allocated to that project and that the remaining funds will be carried forward to fund the activities.
Thank you.
Thank you. My second question, is the council aware of the extensive erosion at South Tree Beach over recent months due to increased intensity of winter storms, making any fixed structure, such as a boardwalk, problematic, impractical and environmentally destructive?
Thank you. I'll see if Mr Murphy can provide some info.
Thank you for the question and the answer through you, Chair. We are constantly monitoring the coast and natural erosion and carrying out works to protect the coast. So yes, the simple answer is we are aware of what's happened recently, and we're keeping a close eye on that and planning works to repair if necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you everyone for your patience, and we'll now move on to item 8, which is application for leave of absence. Councillors, are there anyone seeking a leave of absence? No indication. Go to item 9, which is confirmation of minutes. Councillors, can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the minutes of the council meeting held on the 9th of June 2026? Moved Councillor Giudice, seconded Councillor Olo. Just a show of hands, councillors, to accept those minutes, if I can. Councillors, can I just need your hands up? That's it. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item 10, announcements by the presiding member. I do have a couple, but I'll start. We also have a few more. So I'll ask Deputy Mayor Perkoff if you'd like to start with your announcement.
I'd be delighted. Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, recently on behalf of yourself and the City of Stirling, I was privileged to attend the Young Australia League Awards Night at Lake Munga Recreation Club. YAL Connect, or Young Australia League, is a scholarship program that supports young Australians to overcome barriers to achieve their educational goals. The program provides both financial assistance and personalised holistic support to enable recipients to remain engaged in their education, whatever pathway that may take. Through YAL Connect, the City of Stirling has thus far supported 4 young people from local schools. In 2026, we have supported Isha Singh, who is a Year 11 student from Balcatta Senior High School. Isha is aspiring to become a lawyer and an advocate for justice and equality, and also wants to support those in the community who, like her, have faced hardships. Now, Isha is here with us this evening, Mr Mayor, The back of the room right there. In recognition of the city's ongoing support, Young Australia League presented this certificate of appreciation for our ongoing partnership and support of YA All Connect over the last 4 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Dudak, you have an announcement.
I do, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Mayor, I, along with Deputy Mayor Perkov and Councillor Criado, next to me attended the recent NBL 1 Heritage Round game between the Stirling Senators and Mandurah Magic at Stirling Leisure Centre in Mirrabooka. Herb Graham. Now, while they're known as the Warwick Senators these days, the club formed from the Chewett Hill Junior Basketball Club and became the Stirling Senators Basketball Association in 1971. The Senators operated from Herb Graham Recreation Centre, Mirrabooka, throughout the 1980s before moving to Warwick Stadium in the early 1990s. Now, the city has re-established a strong partnership with the Senators in recent years to ensure that local young people can access quality basketball competition and player development opportunities. Now, our historical connection was celebrated during the NBL 1 Heritage Round, and it's something we're looking to do annually. It was on the 29th of May with the Stirling Senators beating the Mandurah Magic in both games. Now, I find that the most important bit as a sporting person. It was really great to watch. But to reaffirm our connection as well, not only were some staff members there, but also off the court, but also on the court. Former city employee Kiana Weir plays for the Senators women's team, and current city employee Kobe Weir plays for the Senators men's team. So in recognition of our ongoing partnership and the city's support of local basketball, the Senators have presented council with this framed Stirling Senators heritage jersey. I'll go get it now.
Hopefully it's not in his car. There you go. Hey. Thanks, Councillor. And Councillor Andrew Corrado, you have an announcement.
Yes. I'm very pleased to announce that the City of Stirling wins the Regional Community Initiative of the Year with the School's Bush Care Programme and the Parks and Leisure WA Awards of Excellence. The City of Stirling's School Bush Care Programme has earned statewide recognition, winning Community-Based Initiative of the Year at the 2026 Parks and Leisure Australia WA Awards of Excellence. Created and delivered by the city's Conservation and Wildlife team, the program gives school children hands-on experience in conservation while helping restore local bushland reserves. Since 2024, students from 4 local schools have contributed more than 1,400 volunteer hours in city-managed bushland reserves, removing over 1,100 kilograms of weeds and helping plant and care for 3,500 native plants. Their work benefits the wider community while building long-term stewardship among students and teachers. As a WA winner, it will now progress to the 2026 Parks and Leisure Australia National Awards of Excellence later this year. I congratulate the Conservation and Wildlife team for delivering a program with lasting benefits for our environment, our community, and the next generation of conservation champions. Well done.
Yeah. Everyone's been very busy, and I have a couple just to finish off. And the first one of those is regarding the Australasian Reporting Awards. So I'm very pleased to advise that the City of Stirling has won its 12th straight gold award at the 2026 Australasian Reporting Awards held in Sydney last month. The ARA Gold Award recognises overall excellence in an annual report that serves as a model for other organisations to follow. A big thanks to everyone who contributed to the development of the annual report, and a special thanks to the core working group members, Michelle Walsencroft, who's here tonight, Sean Smith, Danielle Carvey, Nathan Conway, Gurjot Pawar, Clayton Chipper, Cressida Cullity and Matt Thomas, and of course their teams for providing another quality publication. Well done, everyone. And now I would like to finish on a slightly sombre note compared to those, and just announce a few weeks ago that the passing of Terence Merchant. So I'd like to pay tribute publicly to Terence or Terry Merchant. He was a long-term Menora resident, but he was also the City of Stirling's 2026 Senior Community Citizen of the Year, and he sadly passed away last month at the age of 94. Terry dedicated many years to public service, including serving as a councillor for the Shire of Augustic Margaret River, where he contributed to the community during a period of significant growth and development. After moving to Stirling, he continued his commitment to community service and was recognised by the City with the 2026 Senior Community Citizen of the Year Award for his outstanding contributions. So on behalf of Council, I extend our sincere condolences to Terry's family and friends. His dedication to public service and the community will be remembered with great respect and appreciation. I'll now move back onto the body of the agenda. And first of all is item 11, unresolved business from previous meetings. Now, what I will now do I said that, didn't I? I've been told I've got to say there is nil. And I will go to item. What I would like to do is bring item 13 forward. I'm aware that we have some deputations and there is some interest in the ECU Mount Lawley redevelopment precinct. Councillors, to allow deputations to be given for this item. This is due to the fact there's a tight time frame and we missed a committee process, so we're very aware that being a contentious item, there may still be some members of the community who wanted to do those deputations. We are required to suspend meeting procedures local law. The following clauses need to be suspended. Clause 14.11, business to be specified. Clause 4.2, order of business. Clause 5.4, deputations. Clause 7.41b, members who wish to speak, standing provisions. And clause 7.9, speaking more than once. Who researched that, Mr. Slinks? That's impressive. Can I please have a mover and a seconder for that following motion, that those clauses be suspended to enable deputations to be received at council? Move Councillor Rees, seconded Councillor Proud. Just a show of hands, councillors, to allow that. That is unanimous. Thank you. Now, I do have in favour of item 13.1, Ray Levin. Are you here? And if you'd like to come forward. So how this works, if people haven't seen it before, it's normally in a committee process, but what we'll do is allow a 3-minute deputation rather than asking questions, so you can give us a context of why you either support or don't support this item. Over to you. If you can start with your name and suburb, please.
Ray Levin, in suburb of Menora. Mr. Mayor and members of Council, thanks for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of the Jewish Historical and Genealogical Society of Western Australia. Our request is a simple one. We seek a permanent home for the preservation of a unique part of West Australians' history. Due to the high percentage of Jewish community living in the City of Stirling, this will also preserve some of the city's history. The Jewish community, like many communities that helped build Western Australia, came here from all parts of the world. Many arrived seeking safety, freedom from persecution, and the opportunity to raise their families in peace. In doing so, they became part of the story of Western Australia itself. Over generations, community organisations were established, businesses were built, cultural and charitable institutions flourished, and individuals made significant contributions to the social and economic and civil life of this state. But there's a problem. Much of this history was never collected systematically. Records were passed from one volunteer to another, often stored in garages, spare rooms, and private homes. And as a result, family stories, photographs, and organisational records have been lost over time. And once such things are gone, they've gone forever. For nearly 3 decades, our society has worked to prevent that loss by collecting and storing archival records and memorabilia, not only for ourselves, but for all the other Jewish organisations in the state. Since our incorporation in 1998, we have built a substantial archive and a specialist library of more than 1,000 volumes. We receive research inquiries from across Australia and beyond. We hold regular meetings, educational events, and guest presentations. And we make our resources available not only to the Jewish community, but also to the wider community, the wider public. Yet the material we have collected is currently spread across 4 separate locations because we have no permanent presence of our own premises. The risk of losing this material is not theoretical.
30 seconds, sir.
Sorry. Last year, the documents that have been carefully professionally sorted are identified as historical certificates were sent into state for archiving. During the transit, they were destroyed by fire. Those records were irreplaceable. The experience demonstrated how fragile and irreplaceable historical records are. Let me shortcut. The space we are seeking would allow us to consolidate our collection, preserve them appropriately, improve public access, and continue our educational work. We also envisage developing a small museum and exhibition space so that future generations can engage directly with the stories of hope, migration, resilience, and contribution that form part of Western Australia's heritage. Importantly, we believe our proposal also represents value for money. We have already agreed that if successful, we would share the premises with the Mount Lawley Historical Society. Office space could remain separate, but storage, meeting facilities and amenities could be shared.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. If I could just get you to wrap up with about 10 seconds.
Okay. We believe this proposal aligns naturally with the cultural and educational objectives of the proposed precinct. A heritage and community archive would complement the precinct's focus on culture, learning and commercial engagement. As a local organisation without a safe permanent home, we feel that the space we request would satisfy both council and the society's objectives.
Thank you, Mr. Levin.
Thank you.
Thank you for your deputation. Now, I've got Tracy Dembo listed. I don't know if she managed to make it or if someone was reading her deputation. She did send it through, so councillors have had the chance to read that. Mariam and Megan from Development WA and Urbis, if you'd both like to come forward.
Thank you and good evening, elected members. Thank
Can
you
I
for
just ask you to move that microphone close to you?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
A little bit shorter.
Thanks.
Good evening, elected members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Mariam from Development WA, joined by Megan. The ECU Mount Lawley Precinct Structure Plan before Council provides the framework to guide the future redevelopment of the site while retaining and building on its rich legacy. It delivers key outcomes including housing choice, land for a future primary school, significant public open space, improved connectivity and opportunities to retain and adapt important campus buildings. These outcomes align with the many priorities identified by both the city and the community for the future of the site. The Precinct Structure Plan has been informed by extensive community engagement, agency consultation and detailed technical investigations. The city has also been closely involved throughout the process. Together, this work has shaped what we believe is an appropriate and deliverable framework to realise the significant opportunity created by ECU's relocation. I'll now hand over to Megan.
Thank you, Mariam. A central focus for the PSP has been protecting the character and legacy of the site. The PSP identifies 3 distinct character areas, each with a tailored built form and landscape response that reflects its context and relationship to surrounding neighbourhoods. It also supports opportunities for the retention and adaptive reuse of existing buildings where appropriate, recognising the site's cultural and heritage value. It has been developed in response to Mount Lawley's established character, streetscapes and scale, while also balancing state planning policy objectives for well-located infill development. A key second objective is delivering diverse and appropriate housing outcomes. The plan provides for a diversity of housing types to support changing household needs while directing higher density outcomes to the most appropriate portions of the precinct. The proposed plot ratio framework provides flexibility through a merit-based approach, allowing future development to respond to design quality, local context and amenity outcomes. It has been informed by market deliverability and achievable built form outcomes within a suitable period of time, with 3 growth scenarios included to ensure a measured and robust approach to future development. Importantly, the PSP establishes a clear framework for built form, providing sufficient guidance to appropriately manage future development proposals. Finally, movement and infrastructure planning has been critical. Detailed transport investigations and modelling have informed the PSP, with the transport impact assessment applying a robust, evidence-based methodology using conservative assumptions tailored to the inner urban context. The assessment concludes that the surrounding road network can continue to operate acceptably under these assumptions, with both the methodology and findings validated through an independent peer review process. Both DPLH and Made Roads confirmed it has no objection to the PSP. In closing, we thank the City for its engagement to date. It is a key milestone today, and we look forward to your deliberation. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your deputations. Well timed. Councillors, now that deputations have been received, can I have a mover and a seconder for the following motion to please reinstate the meeting procedures as written, the clause 4.11, 4.2, 5.4, 7.41B and 7.9 of the City of Stirling Meter Procedures Local Law 2021 be reinstated. Move Councillor Ree, seconded Councillor Papard. Just a show of hands, councillors, to reinstate. Thank you. That is unanimous, and we will now go to the item. Noting, I didn't note before, but Councillor Giudice did leave the room as he has a financial interest. We'll now go to the recommendation on page 359. Councillors, is there a mover of the recommendation? Someone, please. Is there anyone moving this recommendation? Councillor Proud?
For the purposes of debate.
Thank you. And Councillor Perkoff, happy to second. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Migdale? I'll go to you, Councillor Proud.
No, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Perkoff?
Nothing to add.
We'll go to you, Councillor Migdale, to start, and then I've got you, Councillor Ree.
Thank you, Mayor Owen. Councillors, the results of public advertising are very clear. A majority of local residents who took the time to engage with this process do not support the precinct structure plan in its current form. More than half of the 78 submissions objected, and their concerns are not marginal or technical. They go to the heart of how this proposal will change character, function, and livability of Mount Lawley. Residents have told us they're worried about the large-scale loss of tree canopy, including habitat that supports black cockatoos, at a time when our own strategies emphasise urban greening and heat mitigation. They're worried about traffic and parking, with the city's own assessment acknowledging that key intersections will drop to poor levels of service and that upgrades will be required just to cope with the extra vehicle movements this plan generates. They're worried about green and open space actually being usable and adequately irrigated given conflicting views between agencies on water availability. They're worried about infrastructure capacity from drainage and utilities through to already stretched community and education services. Above all, they're worried about building height and density that they see as being out of scale for a suburb that is not an activity centre, not on a train line, and not truly in a city, despite that label being used to justify inner urban school and parking assumptions on this site. No maximum building height is proposed in key precincts, yet the design testing shows towers of up to 15 stories at Alexander Drive and Central Ave, in a context dominated by single dwellings and low-rise development. Residents are absolutely not opposed to any change. They're opposed to this scale of change and form of change, which they see as over-densification. Our responsibility as a city is to achieve the highest and best outcomes for all our residents and not just to meet abstract infill targets. Our strategic documents talk about creating unique and livable neighbourhoods and improving the identity of local areas. That means protecting the existing fabrics of our suburbs, their trees, their human scale, their capacity to function safely, while still accommodating growth in a way that sits comfortably with the surrounding community. A structure plan that concentrates our largest built form, traffic and parking risks, into a single non-centre suburb with no hard height limits in place and unresolved school parking and safety issues doesn't meet that test. Since this plan was first conceived, the state government has announced significant R code reforms are on the way that it says may unlock I believe, up to 50,000 additional blocks for housing across Stirling and further afield. That fundamentally changes the wider supply context and undercuts any argument that this one site must now bear such an extreme density burden. If more capacity is going to be spread across the metropolitan area through code changes, that's even more reason to revisit and moderate this local example of over-densification rather than locking it in. For all of these reasons, the clear weight of community opposition, the specific and unresolved concerns about tree canopy, traffic, open space, school function and infrastructure, and the changed housing policy environment, I cannot support this precinct structure plan in its current form. I urge councillors to listen to the residents who participated in good faith and to resolve not to recommend this plan as drafted, but to seek a revised approach that delivers additional housing while respecting the fabric and expectations of this neighbourhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor Ree next.
Thank you. The original site, ECU site in Mount Lawley, was established to make sure it was a psychosocial site, making sure that it was in touch with the environment and that it wasn't going to be a concrete building just not for people to study in. It was to make sure that students felt at home there. That was one of the principles behind the design. From that, the trees that were planted have encouraged wildlife and biodiversity in the neighbourhood. These are the things that took years to develop, and they shouldn't be trashed in such a way that is suggested to make it another concrete jungle. I'm concerned with the report, especially when it states that this is a housing development. This isn't a housing development. This was supposed to make sure that the idea between education and heritage remains in that area. It is very much a concern that we have the Mount Lawley Menora heritage areas, and this is not considered. We have the Mount Lawley Society, and we've had the Jewish Society who come and said several times about having an area set aside. This is a great opportunity to ensure that the history, the heritage of people, groups, etc., within the city of Stirling are maintained. And that Mount Lawley Society, which started in the city of Stirling, comes back to the city of Stirling, which I think is a priority. This is a great opportunity to do this, and as I've mentioned before, it is a great opportunity to have a piano museum, but I've already talked at length about that.
Can I just have you stop there? I just want to get Ms Shears to provide some context regarding the process to date and the reality of the demolition that's already been acknowledged by the council for the removal of the trees, but also just the context of what this item is, and that it's not necessarily opposed to the other stuff that you're talking about. Ms Shears.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the question. In relation to this particular site, Councillor Ree, the intent for this site to become something more other than the university campus that it is currently today, and it's about to be transformed, was brought to light, or I guess solidified through the city's deal, which resulted in the construction of the ECU campus in the city. The intent was to always move this education facility into that campus in the city, and as a result, vacating this 18.75 hectare parcel of land, which is a unique opportunity 5 kilometres from the CBD to realise a really different urban infill outcome. It is an urban infill site. Because of its location, it's on a prime corridor, it does warrant a different outcome than, say, a suburban area, hence why there is apartments and a variety of housing proposed for the site. There is the retention of a number of buildings that is proposed as part of this proposal, the structure plan. That has been through extensive consultation with the community through the last 12 months. And that was highlighted as a key concern by the community, hence why those facilities are proposed to be maintained. There was an approval by the Western Australian Planning Commission for a Ford Works DA, which resulted in, I think, in terms of the trees that you're mentioning. That is still something we're working with them on that issue. So the city is working hard with Development WA to try and still retain as many trees as we possibly can. Equally, this particular decision, obviously council can form a view tonight as to whether they recommend what they recommend to the Planning Commission. but ultimately officers are fully supportive of this proposal.
You can continue, Councillor.
Thank you for your comments, which just reiterates what I actually said before. I think we're well aware of what the site was. We're well aware of the fact that we need housing. What they're planning to do on this site is more concrete than anything else. It is not addressing the heritage areas. It's not addressing the things we actually need more in the area. And that's one of the problems. This is why the precinct structure plan can't be approved, and not in the context that it is there today. When we look at the submissions, as Councillor Midgale said, they're not approving it because everybody says, yes, we're fully aware that the ECNU site was coming years ago. I think before you came to WA, Mrs. Shears. But I think that that's not the point. What we're trying to do is make sure that the environment, the educational and the heritage value are in the matrix of the infill program. So nobody's saying let's not do any houses. We all know we need houses. What we're saying is it needs a better matrix. And this is what's presented, isn't what it is. I'd also like to make the comment that was approved by the DAPS about the international school in WA and the W primary school, where we had 2 ovals, a whole lot of space. Now we've got 1 oval, many people competing for one site, and the parking, traffic and everything is out of control. So making a comment that there's not going to be a parking issue or a traffic issue with any redevelopment, I don't know where these people live. So I think that is one of the issues that hasn't got improved. No development that has been established through the DAPS has actually encouraged good traffic management. Not one. So that is, I don't see how that statement could be made at all. And there's so much evidence around it. And this is not addressing it. So I could talk about a whole lot of things all the way through this report that should be addressed. And we know we can do good reports. We know we've got the community saying we want the heritage people, we want this, we want that in it. We're saying we want to have it improved. We all know that. I've been to lots of meetings down there. But what we need to do is make sure that it is in conjunction with a good plan for the community. It's a great site, and that's what we've got to do. But the site it's got at the moment isn't. And with that, I'd like to foreshadow that the Council, under Clause Planning Local Government Regulations 215, Schedule 2, Part 4, Deemed Provision, recommends to the Western Australian Planning Commission that the ECU Mount Lawley Redevelopment Precinct Structure Plan not be approved, and that the additional recommendations and modifications are to be considered. So, and then number 2, etc., the same. And I would like to foreshadow that, please.
Thank you. Noted. Thank you, Councillor. Is there any other councillors who wish to speak on this item? Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much. You know, we all know that these sorts of large developments invariably cause problems. But one of the things I just wanted to quickly understand a little bit better is the consultation process that was undertaken in terms of this and the feedback that we got. So I'm noticing here that in terms of City of Stirling residents, there was a total of 52 submissions that were made, 18 for, 36 against. So basically there was 18 people more against from that point. So I'm just trying to understand why so few people actually made a submission.
Point of order, if I don't mind.
Sorry,
if I give clarification,
what's your point of order?
Those submissions, a bit like the
I don't think that's a point of order. He's asked. No,
that they weren't one
Councillor
person.
Reid.
That was the comment that was made.
Yeah,
they were groups.
But it's not a point of order, Councillor Reid.
Oh, he said one person.
Yeah, no,
Councillor Reid, it's not a point of order. Councillor Kristovich is asking a question. The officers
I'm
will
not
answer
asking that question from the point of view of any particular view. I'm just trying to understand why so few people made that submission, and maybe it was hundreds in each.
But let's get some comments.
Just trying to get a better understanding.
Ms. Hughes?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's not uncommon for us to not receive hundreds of submissions for certain particular applications. We give that breakdown to show exactly how many in the city and then outside of the city have commented. We do take all those submissions into account, irrespective of where they are from. They often raise valid points equally if they're outside of the city. I would say that that's actually a fairly high return result for something like this in terms of number of submissions. The other thing to consider is this
I guess the development of this site has already gone through other extensive consultation with Development WA as well.
Yeah, okay.
Point of clarification with your indulgence, Mr Mayor.
Okay, let's just, Councillor Christie, just take a seat for a sec. What's your point of clarification?
My point of clarification is that there was an online petition raised by one of the deputies, Dembo, sorry, I can't remember her first name.
Yes.
Which had just under 700 people who signed that petition, though it wasn't in the wrong format to be tabled at council.
Thanks, Councillor Mead.
Thank you.
Councillor Christovich.
No, look, thank you very much. Like I said, I'm not asking because I have any particular bent for the project, the way it's proposed, but it just, to me, it just seems unusual that something so large and so controversial, with so many trees going, etc., that the level of response has been what I consider to be very low, to be honest. I mean, I know you might say that's quite high for the city, but you know, I just think we need to get better at trying to get people to actually make comments, because we're making decisions that are affecting the future of thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. And even if you look at, and I'd be interested to know in terms of how many homes or how many people there are that live within 200 metres of the site, just out of interest, if we know that.
Ms Shears. Mr Moore.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can confirm we wrote to approximately 668 individuals living close to the development site.
668, and yet I suppose we received 6 submissions. So it's just interesting to note that. That's all. I'll just leave it at that.
Thanks. Is there any other councillors indicating? If not, I'll go to Councillor Proud to close debate.
Nothing to add, but I would ask if you could put the items separately, please.
I don't know if I can. No, I think they're linked, and I don't think there's any reason to. There's no reason you wouldn't vote for one and then you do the other. So there's a foreshadowed motion that has them both in it. So with that, noting that Councillor Ree has foreshadowed another motion that will not be approved, but the motion we have on the, if we can move that one away. That's it. So this is the one we're voting on. Move Councillor Proud, second to Councillor Perkoff, that the structure plan be approved. If I can go to the vote, please. You're doing them separately, eh? No. This is the original motion, councillors. Councillor Hatton, I think. Yep. Okay, that motion is lost. So Councillor Ree's foreshadowed motion comes up.
Yeah, the reason why it's not be approved because of insufficient information with regard to heritage groups and other potential users, if you like, potential users. Well, it is actually is a planning reason because heritage groups are valid. I don't know if we want to term that into a. No, they wanted to put something after not approved. What do you want? Something, Councillor McGrath? Okay, due to the impact.
Yeah.
If you, Mr. Mayor, you asked for some words.
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't.
Sorry.
I haven't been able to get a word in.
My apologies.
Miss Shears, can we have some clarification? I assume what we're looking for is a planning grounds for you to have, so it's a proper motion. So, Miss Shears.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I would suggest the reasons that Councillor Migdale cited in terms of, I think it was traffic, tree canopy. Just a point of clarification, is not in the heritage area, bulk and scale.
I think if we can keep it as short as possible, get rid of the other stuff. It's pretty clear what the motion is. Yep. Impact. Okay, that is a motion. that it not be approved. It's moved, Councillor Reid, seconded Councillor Migdale. Don't need to debate this one. I will put that one to the vote. Yes. See, it happens again. Well, I'm interested to see how some people just changed halfway. 1 minute they're approving it, the next minute they're not. Okay. That motion is carried. Thank you. We can now get Councillor Giudice to return. If someone could get her over. Thank you. Where did that come from? Councillors, we will now go back to item 12, which is reports and recommendations of committees. There are a significant amount of items there from the planning and, let's start with the planning and development. No, there is not a lot. I was putting them all together. Are there any of those? I believe 12.1 DS2 has been asked to be pulled out by Councillor Giudice. Are there any other items you would like pulled out from there? Councillor Ree?
Yes, please. May I have 12.2 CSA1?
No, this is planning and
that's
development,
planning?
so we've just got 4 items.
Oh, my planning. Oh, there. 12.1 CF1, please.
CF1.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, so we'll start with 12.1 DS2 on page 65. Councillor Proud as chair of the committee.
I move the committee recommendation.
Is there a seconder for this? Councillor Giudice, would you like to second? Is it? And is it just to add a? Yeah. I think you've just got a small amendment you wanted to add on.
Correct, yeah, it's just one more item, or sorry, you should say another motion to add, that an update be provided. Look, at just a bit of context, I think we all had read this report, and the Department of Health have indicated they're producing a guidelines for hoarding that's coming out later this year, and I'd like a report to come back to council so we can maintain, I suppose, what is, I suppose, a leading approach to dealing with hoarders.
So let's just see if Councillor Proud is happy to accept that.
I'm happy to accept that.
Great. So let's just make that the substandard motion. Move Councillor Proud and seconded Councillor Giudice.
Question?
Yep, just wait. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Okay, question?
Is it possible to have a date on that? Because I think it's important to have a date following the guidelines being issued to outline to come to the council.
I don't think we have the date of the
following?
guideline. I don't think we have the.
We'll come to
date.
community and resource following the guidelines being issued.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
think-
we've got no time frame.
Well, I personally am comfortable that the intent of this is that within a reasonable time frame, once they're issued, that officers would provide that report back. But I think it's safer than putting a date on this. So if there's no one opposed, we'll keep that as a substantive. Oh, sorry, an update. Yes. Okay, I'll put this motion. We've got Councillor Kristovich. Oh, Councillor Kristovich is out of the room. So that is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll go to item CF1, local planning scheme number 4, revocation and administrative changes. And go Councillor Proud.
I'll move the committee recommendation, page 77.
Okay, and do I have Councillor Perkov seconding? Thank you. Councillor Ree, you're opposed? Okay, Councillor Proud.
Nothing further. This was discussed at committee.
Thank you. Councillor Perkov.
Nothing to add, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Ree.
Yes, thank you. We've discussed quite a few of these things on several occasions over the last couple of years, and there is for and against why some should be revocated. I'm just concerned with coming back to the Scarborough Heritage Area, knowing the fact that, on page 82, that where we've got the Scarborough Heritage Places, this policy identified 6 heritage places in the redevelopment area, 4 of which no longer exist. The whole reason we were doing this is actually to make sure that they do exist. So I don't know whether that's an oxymoron, the way that is written, or what are we doing? Well, the whole point of this was to make sure they don't get removed. So how can we can sit there and say they're gone? And so revocating it, I'm just concerned. And I'd like a comment on that one to start with, please, because I think it's really important.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason some of those places no longer exist is because they were demolished several years ago. Unfortunately, I don't have those details with me at the moment, but they were demolished prior to this policy, the Scarborough Heritage Policy, coming into effect.
Well, that is a concern, and I'd like a comment about those places later. But when we look at the stables, just behind in Scarborough Road, the stables that are there, still there today.
They're not stables.
What are they? They were where they changed clothes, and then they had horses in them at one stage. Well, Councillor Thomas said they had, so anyway. But they were used for changing clothes, and they are old. They're back in the 1920s or something. If this goes, what's the possibility of them going and nothing happens, as Mr. Moore said, that we just demolish things?
Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is difficult for me to answer that question without having the information in front of me at the moment. So I think we might have to just provide you with more information on that.
Well, let's just say it's anything. Let's say it's a Trojan horse sitting there, for example. What if this gets revocated, what is going to protect that horse being there, that monolith? Maybe it's a statue of the mayor. What happens that, we don't have this down at Scarborough and he goes? What are we doing? It could be anything.
Yeah. Let's see it. Mr. Moore? Let's see how you go with that one, Mr. Moore.
So that's why they don't exist.
Yeah.
Mate. Yep, let's go. Mr. Moore?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm taking a look at the moment at the actual, the policy itself, and it lists the 6 places that Councillor Ree is talking about. Now, so for example, I think the Scarborough Clock Tower, for example, that is on the State Heritage Register. So obviously nothing is going to happen with the State Register. If we look at the second item, it's the Cool Corner. It was a former Cool Corner. 152 the Esplanade, that has also been demolished. When we look at the Grace Street shops, and sorry, I am going to go through these one by one so that it's clear what's happening.
No, look, I'm quite happy going through it. My point is still the same. If this gets through tonight, what happens to we know the clock tower is saved because we fought to have that further up, although that doesn't stop the state government wrecking it. But anyway, in theory, it should be safe. My point is, if this gets through, what are we doing to save anything? Doesn't matter what it is. I still don't have that answer. I don't need details of the rest.
Mr. Moore?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So you're talking about additional properties, Councillor Ree? You're talking about other properties that you might want to protect?
Yes.
Existing or in the future? Statues?
Yeah. So there is the opportunity. So obviously these are properties that were adopted or dealt with under the Scarborough framework. We continue to have a framework. We continue to have a local heritage survey. We continue to have a heritage list. So the heritage list will continue it's in local planning scheme number 3. It will continue in local planning scheme number 4. We have a local heritage survey now. We will continue to have a local heritage survey under LPS 4. So if we want to add any places in the future to either the heritage list or the heritage survey, we can, I guess, prepare a place record. We can determine whether they're worthy of protection, if or what level, and then we can, I guess, add them to either of those documents, the heritage list or the local heritage survey.
And Mr Moore, would it be fair to say that those two items have more statutory power than the policy does in protecting them?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. So the heritage list does give statutory protection to properties that council adds to the list. The local heritage survey, it's a non-statutory document. That has always been the case, and that's no different to the MRA policy.
Thank you for that comments. The local heritage survey doesn't mean anything. It's an internal document, so there's no protection there. So my concern still stays the same. But I will just go quickly to the couple of others. The affordable housing and diversity on bottom of page 82 at Scarborough, and it's not just Scarborough, Innaloo, it could be across the city. The mixed dwellings effectively addressed through the application of the R codes. That is correct. However, it's not being implemented when we look at parking, etc. I think that Councillor Kusevich could make so many comments about that. It's not funny. So I think that taking it out is important for us, because I don't think the R codes, when we're getting parking and all the other issues, is addressing it on the grassroots. So that is a concern. But I won't go into any more about that one. The only other one I'd like to comment on is on page 81, 5.7, the Karrinyup Regional Centre guidelines. Having said before that we didn't have a structure plan and then we've gone on to the guidelines, this area has been substantially developed or has developed approvals in place and a policy is no longer necessary. Will the library be protected? Because I don't feel, because we didn't have the structure plan and the library and then they didn't go ahead with all sorts of other issues in there, that this would not protect the library. So to me, we need to keep this because it is a regional centre. Otherwise, we're not protecting the library.
But look, the simplest answer to that is the City of Stirling owns the library and the land that it sits on, so that is the greatest protection it can have.
But if we
it's ultimately a decision of this council what would happen with that library in the future.
Yeah, but the guidelines underpin a policy, it underpins legislation. So the guidelines are there to guide the staff and guide the councils around the table. So if you don't have the guidelines in place, especially for something that Karrinyup was a regional centre and it has a library in there. And the library was gifted to the city by R&I Bank many years ago. Sorry, not to the city, to the ratepayers of the city, the residents of the City of Stirling, many years ago. So that was put in place for that reason to be a regional, with the library, with the shopping, with everything else, like we do our precinct planning, like we used to have. I feel that if this goes, there will be no protection for the library, because when you look at the R codes and you look at some of the examples of what they're putting, shopping, library, hardware, everybody else, even heritage, it's not coming back to the people anymore. And I'll just leave it. I don't need a comment. I'm just saying they're just strictly the ones that, to me, and other people have commented, that they don't agree with. And rather than going through and taking out A, B and C, because I think some councillors may consider some of the others might be a bit borderline, I'm quite happy to vote against it. But if you prefer, Mr. Mayor, to take out certain bits, that's your call.
No,
that's what I'm doing.
The committee recommended it to council, so I'm happy for Councillor Proud to close, and then we'll just put it to the vote. And
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
so I'll put this one to the vote. Councillor Dudek, I think we've got you. Thank you. And that motion is carried with Councillor Reid and Councillor Dudek voting against it. All other councillors voting for it. Thank you. I'll now go to the balance of those reports from the Planning and Development. Councillor Pratt as Chair of the Committee.
I move the balance of report.
If I can have a seconder, Councillor Kristovich. And just a show of hands, councillors, for those balance of reports. Thank you. So members of the gallery and those viewers at home, the remainder of those Planning and Development Committee recommendations, there's 2 of them, have been adopted by exception resolution. We'll now go to the Community and Resource Committee meeting held on the 30th of June, councillors. You've got several items there. Are there any of those items you wish to pull out this evening? Councillor Ree?
Yes, please. 12.2 CSA1, please.
Yep.
And 12.2 CSA2.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So I will go to where are we?
12.2 CSA1, page 112.
I know I've got that. I was just I was aware that Councillor Giudice may want to pull out 12.2 GOV3, so I just thought I was missing something there. There was another page. That's where it was. That's okay. Yep. 12.2 CSA1. So I'll go to Councillor Corrado as Chair of the Committee.
I would like to move the committee's recommendation on page 112.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Olo. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Ree. Councillor Kraut.
I have nothing further to add at this stage.
Thank you. Councillor Olo.
Nothing further, thank you.
Councillor Ree.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to foreshadow my original motion and that of Councillor Mikael, she's gone, that they do proceed. Council does proceed. That
Okay.
council proceeds.
No problem.
Okay. Foreshadow that.
Yep.
And I'd like to turn to page 119. One, I'd like to start off with the ones approved by the City of Stirling in the zone area. They originally were no scooters, electric scooters south of Scubbridge Road towards Jakarta Lake. Is that still in place? Because I tried to find that out and I thought it should still be because that was approved originally. Because I have a comment on that.
Yeah, I think Mr. Murphy, do you have the zones?
Through you, Chair, could I have that question again?
So it's the original. So, and I think it's important to note that this e-ridables covers all e-ridables. Your motion here, but the hireable e-ridables through the scheme, in terms of the limitations, were they allowed to go south of Scubbridge Road?
Yes, through you, Chair. If the question is, can they go as far as Jakarta Lake? No, they can't.
Thank you. That's good that that's reinforced, and it'd be good that when we're talking about that and it comes in the reports that those areas which we originally said are no-go actually stay in the reports because that gives people a little bit more confidence. Secondly, I think the issues that have arisen with e-ridables is increasing with the accidents, with the issues. We have passive parks, particularly Jakarta. It's a lot smaller than Yokine, but Yokine still has the same issues. We don't have the space. They are dangerous. We have older people. We have people with children. I've seen accidents. You know, people just run into, the other day, someone was holding their dog. Their dog was there. And the kid went right through and the poor dog nearly got strangled. Now, we can't call a ranger out to every one of them. And it's like the fishing. And I know that the rangers have been called out a lot.
It's not like the fishing at all. This is e-ridables on a footpath. Let's keep it to this subject.
Can I finish my comment? I was just going to say, it's like the fishing that if there's an incident, by the time we get our rangers out, who sometimes get the culprits, otherwise they're gone. It's the same issue. We can't be everywhere. So I think the signage is really important and it's an issue that's not going to go away. And yes, I know we're working on trying to get more allowances, etc. And I just think that there's too many accidents, which is a problem. And if we look at page 129, just get 129 up, although I am confused about why we actually had so much bike safety going on in that. We actually have the comment, while the city may have the ability to implement and reinforce e-ridables exclusion zones within Yokine Space and Jackadd Reserve, it is meant that council do not proceed as such exclusion nor undertake for that purpose. But there's not a good enough reason for saying all that. When we're looking at how many people are looking at it, the amount of accidents that are there on the increase, etc., there's no reason. The only way I would say we could go to putting in an exclusion zone, and we need some better signage for these people. You know, we have it that they've got to be 8 kilometres normally. And I mean, I put in the first footpath in a park in the city 20 years ago. You know, that was a motion we fought for in the community. But it was for the sense that was no more than 8 kilometres. And it was said at the time, we don't have enough staff to sit there and say if they go more than 8 kilometres. But hardly ever do we have to do that because we've got good signage, we've got communication, we've got education. This is the same. I don't see it as different, and I think it can be achievable. So I have changed, I've suggested, and it can be, because we've got number 2 says implementation of targeting measures to encourage safety e-ridables. So if we put them in conjunction, I think it's important. And if you want to, we could make it as a trial for exclusion zones. That might be, see how it goes for 12 months and see how it works. I mean, one of the things with birds, you know, we don't have fish on any of our signs.
Let's stay off the birds and the fish. Let's stay with e-ridables.
Okay, I can say clowns then, or elephants. But what I'm saying is, I'm foreshadowing the motion that we do proceed. The only thing I would say is that whether or not, and I'll take it on board for your comments from the staff, whether they would prefer a 12-month trial.
Sure.
So that's
I
the
think
only addition.
I think it's clear. There's been significant debate at this at committee.
Yes.
The committee recommendation is that it does not proceed with an exclusion zone, but supports the other things you're talking about. If it goes to your foreshadowed, then we'll talk about the trial, etc. Did anyone else, Councillor Papard, you wanted to speak?
Just a few comments, and the decision of the committee was clearly unanimous, and I appreciate the council here can change their views on that, but there was a lot discussed just now about signage and community, you know, and there's the option on the motion on there also of community education initiatives. So I think maybe if we look at the that signage going forward, we don't have to bear a lot of expense and costs on future infrastructure that might be, you know, quite expensive. And as you know, we go through, I guess, over the period of several years of transition, as scooters are integrated into the community more and more, and there's more adoption of it, we can in due course consider how we proceed in other parks, not just Jackadd, but and Yokine, but also Charles Riley. You know, we can consider options for some pathways, special pathways there. But at this stage, I think education campaign signage is probably sufficient. Thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Corrado, would you like to close?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was discussed at length at committee. There were a number of questions asked, and the issue of accidents was also raised and answered by the officers. One of the councillors who initially proposed this motion, Councillor Migdale, was satisfied with all the answers provided, and as the committee's recommendation shows, this item was accepted unanimously. Now, this was accepted because as the officer said, there are, and the report mentions, there is a network of over 502 public open spaces and cycling and walk pathways throughout the city, and there is no reasonable explanation, or it does not warrant why these two areas, the Yokine Reserve and the Jackadd, should be exclusion zones for the e-ridables. And therefore the committee said, voted to move the officer's recommendation, and I would seek the support of our wider council tonight to vote in the same manner. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that closed debate, move Councillor Corrado, seconded Councillor Olo. Committee recommendation that it does not proceed, noting there is a foreshadowed motion. Well, they are, but they're both, you've put number 2 on both the foreshadowed, so I don't think it adds any value because it's. So if you've already foreshadowed both of them, so if it goes to does proceed, it has the supports implementation of targeted measures as well. But you've foreshadowed another recommendation that includes 2. So I'll keep them together for this one. So if we can put that to the vote. Thank you. Thank you. That motion is carried. Notice Councillor Reid is opposed. That is carried. We'll go to item 12.2 CSA2, the Safer Exchange Sites. Again, Councillor Corrado as chair of the committee.
I would like to propose, move the committee's recommendation on page 132.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Migdale seconding that. She's had a bit of media this week over that one, hasn't she? Well done. Councillor Reid, you're opposed? Or a question?
Yes, thank you.
Which one? Are you opposed or have you got a question?
No, I oppose it.
Okay, take a seat then. I'll get Councillor Corrado to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will reserve any comments at this stage. Thank you.
Councillor Migdale.
I'm so happy about this and absolutely chuffed that it is doing what it set out to do and is proving effective and of good use. This is, to me, the perfect outcome where it's revenue neutral. The city doesn't have to throw money at it and it provides Sorry. Something going on next to me. Are we good? And we have positive outcomes for our residents. So I couldn't be happier with this. As you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, there's been a fair bit of media around this item over the last week and it's all been positive. So I support it wholeheartedly.
Councillor Reid.
Yes, please. Could I ask for clarification? On page 133, it does actually say the footage was undertaken, staff have looked at it, staff had looked at the exchange, etc., and yet on page 134, we've got there are no costs. Now, I do recall when we're looking at even the basics of things, we put a costing factor for staff. Why is there no cost in this at all? And I take on board Councillor Migdale's as there should be no ongoing, but there are in this. So what are the costs, please?
I think it would take more time to work those out than it would the actual cost. Mr. Quirk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, we don't do that. We don't apportion every hour of officer time to their work in community development.
It's a pretty simple thing. It's a footpath. Like people just stand on a footpath. I don't think it's a major resourcing piece for the city, Councillor Reid.
Well, I'll remember that when we need staff to go and do something, it's not really a cost. That's good to know. With page 134, with the consultation by people, there is nothing in there that actually says how many people used it, how many people were there, and there's no table to show the consultation. I take on board that their comment was that they stood there and looked at footage and it was too hard to see if someone was exchanging something or saying hello. So I can understand that, but there is no stats here to support it. Well, I'm not taking against what the principle is behind it, but when we're looking at doing something, there should be statistics in there to say, well, we've had 100 people got exchanged, nobody got mugged. That would be what I'd be looking at, but there's no statistics here to sit there and say, this is actually going well.
Councillor Reid, I get what you're saying, but I think it's just keeping this all in the context and perspective that it is. It is simply a part that has probably got more promotion outside of the City of Stirling with third-party endorsements and media than it has from any city work done. The same could be said for water fountains or benches throughout the city. We don't have statistics on how many people sit on a park bench each day to be able to put one in. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do.
I think to get a park bench, you actually have to say a lot more than that to Mr. Murphy to get one, but, you know, that's another thing.
Nicely.
But I do believe. Look, I think the thing is too that we're doing these things, but we're not saying how many people are using it. And if somebody's saying that there has been no issue, maybe there was no issue before, because where it's actually located is right in front of a whole lot of people. And if you remember the original report, a whole lot of commercial, but the original report said that where they were conducted in Victoria, they were all near police stations. So I mean, that's my point. When we're writing a report, we should have the statistics there to validate what they're doing. And that's my concern. And then when we're using other things, we sit there and go, well, there's no statistics to go forward. So I shall remember this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't think there's anyone opposed to this. So Councillor Criado, do you want to close?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this was again discussed at committee. The initial proposer of this motion, Councillor Migdale, is very happy with the report, and at committee we all agreed that this should continue. So I have nothing further to add, and I would seek Council's support on voting for this item tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I'll put that motion. Moved Councillor Criado, seconded Councillor Migdale. That motion is unanimous. Thank you. And they will continue. Councillor Migdale, sponsored by Channel 9 at the moment, I think, with that one. All right, we have got item 12.2 Gov 3, the reconsideration of the minor boundary alignment. So I'll get you, Councillor Criado, to move the committee recommendation.
I would like to move the committee's recommendation on
Sorry, we have got a little bit. I'll just get Mr. Silence to explain what happens here. It's to do with the fact that it's a revocation motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a quirk in terms of the admin regs, in terms of if council is going to consider to revoke a previous decision, before it can actually formally move and second that motion, there needs to be 1/3 support indicated from the council. So through you, Mr. Mayor, what that would mean is just a show of hands of 6 elected members that would support this motion going forward, and then it can be moved accordingly.
So it's just a procedural so that we can then do the revocation. So we've got Councillor Proud, Councillor Kristovich, Councillor Papard, Councillor Migdale, Councillor Olo and Councillor Criado. That's your 6?
Yep, 6. Yep, and now you can move it.
Sorry, that was quick. How did you go over there? Criado, I think we had Councillor Real it doesn't matter. Yep.
1, 2,
There we go. That's 6?
Yep.
Okay, so
Now Andrew, Councillor Criado can move.
and we don't need to actually vote on that. We just need those 6 names. Okay. Now we can go to the revocation motion that you have. Oh. Yes. It is a recommendation that you have before you.
Yes, so I'd like to move the committee's recommendation on page 349.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Giudice, I think it's just going to be seconded with an additional.
Yep, I'm happy to second. Yep. And yeah, just a minor amendment to recommendation 2 and then an addition of 3. And whilst I acknowledge the City of Bayswater's position regarding a broader review from our perspective, or my perspective, the actual proponents for this proposal can go to the Local Government Advisory Board.
I just need.
Yep.
I just need what it is.
No,
we just.
Well, it's on
needs to go
the
down to the
coming
amendment.
up, I think.
Giudice's amendment.
Yeah.
Oh, is it frozen?
I can read to it if we want.
Sorry, we're just getting it up, Mr. Mayor.
So, councillors, if you recall, the intent of this wasn't that the City of Stirling has a strong position opposed to this. It was just that it's not pursuing it. Councillor Giudice notified everyone today. It's just a minor amendment, I believe, that adds something to it that also says that if the proponents wish to pursue it through the other process, that we have no problem with that, effectively. And I don't think that changes the intent of what the committee resolution was. So there we have it.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just trying to get it up, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
Do you want to just read it, Councillor Giudice?
To recommendation 2, with the removal of any, and then to 3, that council does not object to the following district boundary adjustment between the City of Stirling and the City of Bayswater, as detailed in attachment 1, should a submission to be formally made by affected electors to the Local Government Advisory Board under clause 2 Section 1D of Schedule 2.1 of the Local Government Act 1995. All properties located on the northwest side of Oxford Street, Maylands, are to be included within the district of the City of Stirling, and all properties located on the southwest side of Crawford Road between York Street and Oxford Street, Maylands, are to be included within the district of the City of Stirling.
Councillor Corrado, are you happy to accept those?
Yes, I am.
Right. Is there anyone opposed to that? Just a question?
Having been involved in amalgamation and de-amalgamation as an officer of the state government, there was, we used to have a distinct wording under the Act from the council party, all parties of the councils. So I just am a bit concerned.
I'm comfortable. The council's not pursuing anything.
No, that's true.
So all and this is not an amalgamation, we're talking about half a dozen properties. So,
No,
so it is simply that the council will not stay in the way if the proponents wish to use.
that is correct. We're not going to oppose it in that. The only thing is whether or not that wording is there, because it used to have to, and I can't recall what the passage is, but it used to be actually legislative to say that, like, this council does not, exactly what you're saying, they're objecting, but it was actually a distinct wording that we had to use for Crown law. So
Let's see how we go. Mr. Slentz, are you comfortable with the wording? I'm very comfortable. There we go. That's all. The best advice we can get tonight is Mr. Slentz, so we'll take that. We've got the substantive, that will all be part of the substantive now. If there's no one opposed, I'll put that to the vote. Just go show of hands. There we go. That's right. Just show of hands. That's it. Councillors, show of hands. That's it. Unanimous. Thank you. All right. That brings us to the balance of reports from the Community and Resource Committee. Councillor Corrado. Sorry, let me just check. Gov 2 with the absolute majority. Is that all right to just do as a balance? Yeah. Yeah.
So I move the balance of reports.
Thank you. Councillor Proud has seconded. So we'll put that to the vote. No. No. That's what I just checked. Beat you to it. There you go. And that is, I think we're missing one, are we? Councillor Dudek. Thank you. That is unanimous. Is that? Yeah, that is unanimous now. Thank you. So, members of the gallery and those viewers at home, please note that the remainder of the Community and Resources Committee recommendations have now been adopted by exception resolution. Yeah. And for those who are interested, that includes the local law. So that has been adopted. Any of those items have all been approved now. So we now go to item 13. We've done 13.1, so we're jumping onto 13.2, the City of Stirling Strategic Community Plan. Councillors, with your indulgence, I will just ask Mr. Roddick if he'd like to say a couple of words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, Council is considering one of the most important documents we develop as an organisation, our Strategic Community Plan. It is the highest level planning document and sets out the long-term direction for our community over the next decade. It is the foundation of our integrated planning and reporting framework, guiding the development of our corporate business plan, long-term financial plan and annual budget. Everything we do as an organisation is linked back to this plan. Importantly, this is not simply a city document. It has been shaped through an extensive engagement process involving more than 1,700 community members, alongside significant input and feedback from elected members through a series of workshops and discussions undertaken throughout the review process. And I thank you all for your input into this plan. At the heart of our plan is our vision to be a sustainable city with a local focus. This vision is supported by 5 interconnected key result areas that work in harmony to deliver this vision across our community, our economy, our built environment, our natural environment, and our organisational leadership. One of the most pleasing outcomes of this major review is that only minor changes have been made to the plan. This is a strong endorsement of the work that Council and the organisation have undertaken over recent years. It demonstrates that the vision, priorities, outcomes previously established remain highly aligned with the aspirations of our community today. In many respects, that is a measure of our success. It tells us that we are listening to our community, that we are planning well, and that we are heading in the right direction to deliver what our community values most. This plan belongs to all of us. It reflects who we are today, the future we aspire to create, and our shared responsibility to make that future a reality. Together, we can continue to build a sustainable city with a local focus and a city where we are proud to say, this is our place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Roddick. Now, on to item 13.2. It's on page 393, the City of Stirling Strategic Community Plan. Do I have a mover of a motion? I have Councillor Proud. I've got seconded Deputy Mayor over there. Is there anyone opposed? Yep. Would you like to speak to it? Is this for debate?
Yeah, and I might try an amendment.
Sure, let's go, Councillor
at the end of
Proud.
my comment.
I can only underline what the CEO said.
Thank you.
Nothing to add, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Dudek.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And firstly, I want to acknowledge and sincerely thank the staff who worked on tirelessly to collect the community feedback and draft the massive document. Stress that there's plenty in this document that I do agree with, and there's lots that the City of Stirling do that I'm very proud of, and particularly community safety, our local parks, open spaces, support of sporting clubs, community groups. So I'm very conflicted about voting against this tonight, but I find it hard to endorse a plan that's internally inconsistent, but I might just try a very minor amendment after my comments, which would probably allow me to support it in good conscience. So on one hand, this plan talks about infill and density to meet state housing targets. It calls this diverse housing choices and to prioritise growth in transit corridors. At the same time, on page 45, it still lists an unachievable tree canopy target of 18%. Now, it's page 45 on the plan, but it's page 490 on your agendas, I believe, if you do want to go to it. It still lists this unachievable 18% tree canopy target. Our own administration has acknowledged it's not feasible on the 30th of May 2023, 17th September 2024, and I think most recently on the 17th of March 2026. If we already know this target isn't feasible, in light of Minister Carey's announcement this week regarding the changes to R20 zoned properties, which will allow many, many more subdivisions, it must be doubly unfeasible. And I'm not sure why we would retain this target for the next 10 years.
Okay. Sorry, can I just say
Yeah.
it's your target?
Yes.
It's not the officer's target.
Yeah, correct.
I just want to
Correct.
make that
I-
clear. That's a target that this council decided to keep. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can
Thank
keep
you for
going.
clarification, Mr. Mayor. I will acknowledge that as well. Listen, if we, I just want to illustrate the effect of subdivisions and direct you to Google Maps or looking at any satellite view of Nullamara, which is in my ward, where these subdivisions have already occurred throughout the whole neighbourhood. And Nullamara's canopy cover is currently sitting at 7.9%, which is well short of 18%. And if you look at the satellite view as well, you can kind of see the dearth of trees there. So now I had to get these stitches after a collision in my soccer game on Sunday, but you could probably be forgiven for thinking I got them from banging my head on the table trying to make these two targets work together. But I'll try to do so with an amendment. And it would just be to add at the end of its, at the end of what's written there, subject to the removal of the 18% average tree canopy target by 2040 on page 45. Now, I know this won't officially remove our target, but I anticipate, given our administration's comments, that it will need to be removed at some point in the next 10 years. So I don't think we should have it in our strategic community plan for the next 10 years either.
Thank you, Councillor.
Can we have an officer's comment and then the seconder and I will decide if we accept it?
No, it won't be done like that. So let's be very clear. So I'm sure the officer's comment is the document is what it is. You start playing with it, you need something else to replace it with. So it's probably a bit bigger body of work. But I'm happy to test it as an amendment if councillors want to do it. But what I would do is get you to move it as an amendment, recognising the impact of it. Yep. Is there a we don't. Is there a seconder for this amendment?
Second it, but I would put in that if you're going to remove the 18, you've got to put something value in. You've got to put something in. If you can't take
Are we
the whole
seriously
lot
going to
out-
make numbers up on a strategic community plan? No, it's well. Yeah. All right. So there's a seconder. I don't know if we need to go into a full debate on whether we remove this. I'm happy if you're happy, we just put it to the vote to see if the amendment is accepted. And if it's not, then the other avenue you've got is to do a nom at the end of the meeting to review the target.
Now, with a brief clarification, just for councillors, if I may. So by removing this from page 45 of the document, I don't think that does anything to remove it as an official council target. I think it's just acknowledging that this target likely will change within the next 10 years. And so the strategic community plan shouldn't have it in there for that long as well. It'll still remain. We have to go through other processes to remove it, but our administration itself has already talked about it being unfeasible on many occasions.
So I think it's important to note, just by doing this, we don't remove the target. There is a council resolution that is a target.
Correct.
Councillor Dudek's asking that it be removed from the document. So Councillor Rhea seconded that. What I will do is go to the vote. If you would like this amendment, then vote for it. We'll just test the amendment. Just on the amendment, that's all you're voting on is that red bit of writing to have the 18%. Right. Councillor Reid, we're voting. Thanks. Yeah, but you're talking during the vote. You're telling everyone how to vote. I don't. Councillor, no, I don't think she is. But she's. Thank you. So that amendment is lost. So we take it off, please, and go back to the substantive. Councillor Dudek, you're welcome to continue. And there's obviously another avenue at the. Yeah.
No, nothing more needs to be said. Thanks.
Thank you. I have no one opposed. So I will go to you, Councillor Proud, and see if you'd like to close debate.
This is a significant body of work.
Where
A
that
lot
red
has
writing
gone into
removed,
it,
please?
and happy to move it and hope for support of majority of council.
Yeah. Done. Thank you. And with that, I will put the strategic community plan to the vote. Yeah, Councillor Reid. That's right. That's it. Thank you. So the strategic community plan is passed with Councillor Reid and Councillor Dudek voting against the strategic community plan. And we'll now go to item 13.3, the City of Stirling Corporate Business Plan. Do I have a mover of the motion? Deputy Mayor, thanks. Councillor Papard has seconded. Is there anyone opposed to the community business plan? Corporate business plan, sorry. Councillor Reid, you're opposed to the corporate business plan? Ooh, not much work's going to get done around here. Deputy Mayor?
Mayor Owen, I have nothing to add at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Papard?
I too, have nothing to further to add. Thank you.
Councillor Reid?
Thank you. And I do believe with our budget and everything we do, in order to keep all our staff busy, they're obviously doing something. So my point is with the corporate business plan, which I've said before, and I've said several times, we are not putting enough into our maintenance to make it part of our corporate business plan, to make it part of our infrastructure plan, the whole lot. We've got buildings, Innaloo, Doubleview, they seem to be on the agenda, then they disappear. When we're going to look at what we're doing going forward, I think all of these are a business model. I don't agree with sitting there spending money on buildings and everything outside the city. I think we've got to look at inside the city if we're going to build things. I do believe in the affordable housing. There's so much out there at the moment, the government, John Kerry is saying every day, come and ask me for some money and I'll help you do affordable housing. Councils used to have housing. When I worked in council, I used to be in control of the city's property, and we never lost any, thank you. And,
Really?
you know, they were always well
When was that,
maintained.
Councillor Reid?
Many. Nedlands, for one.
All right.
but we had all that property, and it was another form of revenue. Plus, it's also another form of enticing staff. It's another form of having different people coming into your city. So I don't see why we're still hesitating with that.
So can I just get clarity? So page 29, corporate business plan. How strategy? How will we get there? Facilitate and advocate for diverse housing choices for our community.
Yeah, but we're not doing it. How many times I keep putting it up, but we're not doing it. And some of the other things, you know, like this, as I said again, the affordable housing.
I'm just saying, but you want it. It's in the corporate business plan, but you don't.
We're not doing anything. We could sit there and say, we're all going to catch flies in the wall. We're going to go get mozzies, or you're going to go fishing every day.
But the good thing about a corporate business plan, it informs the CEO's KPIs, and that's where you get to decide if it's happening or not.
We could have the CEO having in their KPIs, which is still questionable about those KPIs, which I've said before. But the thing is, it could be there, but around the table, the appetite isn't there to agree to it, as you well know. You don't always agree with the table. So, you know, therefore, it's not necessarily the appetite. But to me, you know, the maintenance of the buildings, we talk about this community plan, the community sitting there saying, we want the facilities in our area, we want to be able to walk to them. They need to be upgraded, need to be fixed. You know, that's something we should be doing, and we're not doing. And I look at some of the bowling clubs that we keep pushing out, and then we go to all sorts of things that we're putting money on that aren't a priority. And people see that. And I think that's where we're not looking at as a bigger plan with our business plan. And I did comment about the staffing levels, etc., and the amount of money we're spending on RMS and everything else. And there's a movie out about how much money we spend on AI and what happens in the end. But I'll leave that to you in your personal time, Mr. Mayor. Things like that, we're not looking at the bigger picture. And so that still concerns me. So I cannot support it when we're not coming in line with the community and grassroots spending on things that they can see and not pie in the sky things. It's just getting too much. People want to be able to go down to their clubs and find out it's okay.
Thanks for that. No, look, I get there's frustration with stuff that happens, but I think it's really important that the community have spoken larger than ever this year with a consultation piece that informed the strategic community plan. That strategic community plan informs the corporate business plan. So it is directly the way that the CEO through the administration will deliver on the aspirations of the community. That's what the document is by definition. Anyway, is there anyone else who wants to speak to this? If not, I'll go to you, Councillor Perkoff.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another significant body of work from our office and everyone at Executive and councillors. So happy to go on with this.
Thank you. I'll put this one to the vote. Thank you. And that is carried with Councillor Reeve voting against. We'll go to item 13.4, the adoption of the municipal budget, 557. Deputy Mayor's moving. Councillor Kristovich has seconded. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Migdale. Deputy.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, it's already been said once this evening, we are a big city. No sooner had we finished a 25-26 budget that we had started on 26-27 budget. After many workshops, many meetings behind the doors, going to see the executive and having long discussions and so on, culminating in a 6-hour marathon Saturday morning, afternoon, electors only workshop, and then getting together with the executive once again. I can also thank at that time the acting CEO for his assistance and all the other exec and so on. Getting together and nutting this out, coming to something that really does make sense. It is prudent. At City of Stirling, we don't look over the fence and say the grass is green on the other side. We get on with the job that we have to do. We know there's a challenging times out there at the moment. If you followed a lot of the other stuff through the news, and we just note that, we don't follow it, you see the struggles that other councils are having through these processes right at this very point in time. I think we've made some very solid decisions here, and I commend all the councillors here this evening and all the staff, their different business units, exec, CEOs, acting CEOs, everyone else. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Deputy. And we've got Councillor Christovich.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to support this budget. What I'd like to say up front is that most councillors and the administration spent a huge amount of time looking at this budget line by line, with the number one priority during that entire process being the cost of living pressure on our ratepayers and how we can minimise that and achieve the outcomes that they'd like us to do. And bearing that in mind, one of the things I always do is you look at the other councils around us and what are they doing at the moment in terms of their rates increases during this period of time. And you've got Vincent at 6.94, you've got Wanneroo at 6%, you've got Swan at 5.5, Joondalup at 6.5, Victoria Park at 5, Fremantle at 5.4, Melville at 5, Mandurah at 4.95, Perth at 5.5, Cambridge at 5%. So I think it's fair to say, on every comparison to most other councils, we are well and truly taking into consideration the cost of living pressures on our council, but also bearing in mind that we have a council that is very active in terms of coming up with ideas along the way, that things that ratepayers want implemented, and we have that expectation. Also, if you look at our rate increases over a 4-year period, our compound is 16.451%, as opposed to Victoria Park, which is at 27.4%, or Fremantle at 22.48%, or Joondalup is at 17.62%. The other thing to note also, when you look at us, compare us to the councils around us, and you say, what's our minimum rate that we've got going? Ours is $1,039. The minimum rate in Vincent's $1,685. Wanneroo is $1,285. Bayswater is $1,248. Swan is $1,100. So again, when it comes to minimum rate, we are so much more efficient. And our rate in the dollar is 0.041, as opposed to other councils which are at 0.064 and 0.54, etc. So I think they're important considerations, and we should all be proud of the amazing work that the councillors that attended the workshops and worked with the officers line by line to make sure that every item was scrutinised in detail. The other thing that I think is important to note is that there's been lots of complaints from ratepayers in various councils about the rate increases. Do you know how many submissions we had at the City of Stirling for our rates? One person wrote in out of 250,000 people, out of over 100,000 rateable properties, to say, I'm not happy with 4.9%. One person. So I think that reinforces that. The other thing I think worth considering as well is during the process...
Councillor, I think your inbox is going to be full tomorrow with other councils at the moment.
Well, that's the figures as they stand, Mr Mayor. What can I say? The other thing that I want to put on the record as well is that for myself personally, as part of this process, I was very cognizant of the requests I had made in the past in terms of projects that needed to be done. And there was one particular project which had an expense of $350,000, or close enough to, which was put back into the mid-year budget last year when it was taken out. And had that project stayed in, the rate increase would have been 5.15%. But through discussions with officers, through consideration of the community, I decided that that project can be deferred and it can be done at a later date. And so one thing that, the fact that no other council has moved projects to be deferred in their wards to pull them out indicates to me two things. One, that they were happy with the process, that they must have been happy with the rates increase, because if they weren't happy, they would have said pull out projects and let's not spend money on various things. And just to give an example, if someone was to pull out a $1 million project out of their ward, the rates would decrease, requirement to increase rates would decrease by 0.6%. So, that's always an option in future years. It's also important to note that during the course of the year and in the mid-year budget, as we know historically, councillors come up with projects which, again, stress test our budget, add additional costs, and they obviously reflect back at the end of the year. So there's a lot of things we need to consider, but on the whole, I think, the councillors that participated aggressively and thoroughly in that process should be proud of the contribution they've made. I'd like to thank the officers for stress testing that and obviously making some changes on that last day. And it's fair to say that there was a very strong consensus around the room at 4.9%. To be honest, some people thought we could go a little bit higher, but on the whole, everybody was, or most people were happy with that 4.9, and I think that was a great decision, and I think the council have approached this in a very professional manner, and I think the ratepayers should be very happy with the fact that it's been so thoroughly interrogated.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Migdal.
Should be happy. They should be happy that we're asking for more money than we did last year. Now, I'm going to start with a question, and my question that I just want to ask on is the decrease in the vacant rates amount. I'm just wondering, I don't recall that being discussed, and I'd just like to ask through you, Mr Mayor, to officers with regards to when we decided. I know that we increased the rate, gross rental valuation rate in the dollar to vacant land in order to inspire those who are land banking in Stirling to build, because obviously we're in a housing crisis, noting that Vincent increased their vacant GRV to 40, increased it by 40%. Can I ask that question?
Yeah, Mr Richards.
Certainly through the chair. So, Councillor Migdal, there's been no change in our strategy. So the vacant rent is set at 50% higher than the residential rate. And we also offer the 3-year concession, which reduces it back down to the standard rate in the dollar. So there's been no changes this year.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Tonight I'm speaking about the proposed 4.9% rates increase, and I do so mindfully of the responsibility that we carry every time we ask our community to pay more. I want to clarify where I stand. I cannot support a rates rise above CPI. I never have in 9 years as an elected member. To be clear, this is not because I doubt the pressures on this budget. I don't. But because the households we represent are under at least as much pressure as we are, and unlike us, they have no vote on whether to pass their costs on. Here is the core problem with this proposal. Councils can raise rates. Households cannot raise their income to match. When our costs go up, we come to this chamber and we vote to recover them from ratepayers. When a family's costs go up, their mortgage, insurance, groceries, they don't get a vote, they absorb it. They cut back somewhere else or they go without, and it's that simple. I was speaking with a resident in Yokine last week who has a young family. They've cut their grocery spend by $100 a week. They've had to make payment arrangements for all their utility bills to cover their rates. That is the test I apply to every rate rise. Not can the council justify this number, but can our residents actually absorb it? On the evidence, a 4.9% rate rise fails that test. Now, let's look at the numbers because they tell a story. Perth recorded annual inflation of 4.9% in the most recent ABS figures, equal highest of any capital city in the country. That means this proposed rates rise isn't modest. It's tracking the single worst cost of living result in the nation. We are not asking residents to keep pace with a manageable trend. We are asking them to match the peak of it. Housing costs specifically have risen 14.8% over the past year in Perth, more than double the next highest capital city, and rents are up 6.6%. On top of that, the Reserve Bank cash rate now sits at 4.1%, the highest since February 2025, after back-to-back increases this year. On an average mortgage, recent rate rises alone have added hundreds of dollars a month to household repayments. A near 5% rates increase does not land on a stable household budget. It lands on one already being squeezed from every direction. The WA Local Government Association's own local government cost index, the industry benchmark for how much council costs genuinely rise each year, is forecast at just 3.1% for this financial year, as it was last financial year. That is the figure that reflects our actual, unavoidable cost growth. A 4.9% rise is nearly 1.8 percentage points above that benchmark. That gap is not inflation. That gap is discretionary. That gap is a choice. We've been here before. Last year, I moved an amendment to bring our rates rise down from 4.5% to 3.95%. It was defeated and rates went up 4.5% regardless, a rise that was itself already above that year's cost index. 12 months on, we're being asked to go further still at a time when residents are demonstrably worse off, not better. Every dollar above that 3.1% benchmark is a dollar we are choosing to take from our residents for something beyond keeping the lights on, the bins collected, and the roads maintained. Colleagues, our job is to get the basics right, live within the same discipline we ask of every household in this city, and hand back what we don't need. Better yet, don't take it. I urge you to reject this rise, cap it at the cost index, and send a clear signal that this council listens to the people paying the bill. I'd support a rise capped at Walga's local government cost index 3.1% this year. That funds our actual cost growth without asking residents to fund discretionary spending on top of it. To close the gap, I'd point to nice to haves like economic development expenditure and hundreds of thousands on Christmas lights, which are not localised, but at council, before I'd point to ratepayers' pockets. If council officers can show me every one of those dollars is core business under the Local Government Act, I'm willing to be persuaded, but that case hasn't been made to me yet. I could go on, but I won't, and I appreciate the indulgence of the Mayor and Council. And this is not to say that I don't appreciate all the good work officers have done and the consideration by our councillors. I'm not suggesting we run down our financial buffers. Sound reserves matter for long-term stability, but so does not overcharging residents in the short term. Other councils facing cost of living pressure isn't a reason to follow them. It's a reason for all of us to do better, remembering we have economies of scale, being one of the largest councils. Perth already has the equal highest inflation of any capital city in this country. Following the pack here means following everyone else in adding to that pressure, not relieving it. I'm not proposing we cut the basics. I'm proposing we fund the basics first, fully, and then apply the same scrutiny to everything else in this budget that a household would have to apply to discretionary purchases. If a program can't demonstrate its core business, it should be the first thing reconsidered, not a rates rise. Oh, sorry, got a little bit overpassionate there. The budget is complex, but the test for residents is simple. Can they afford it? I'm not asking this chamber to ignore complexity. I'm asking it to make sure that complexity isn't being used to justify a number that's disconnected from what our own industry body says our real cost growth is. Thank you.
Councillor Dudek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I do just want to thank all the staff, obviously, for putting this together. Thank Councillor Perkov for playing a key role in our budget process and getting us all together on the weekends and spending long days and discussing it all. You know, it's always hard when you get 15 people in a room who are all elected on different mandates to agree on anything. It's very hard, but we did, and you know, there was many councillors that would have liked an even lower rate rise, some that you know wanted different things added, but we did come to a compromise, and in the end, I'm happy with that process and happy to support it. So the only thing I do want to try and do, and it's something that I think was basically in agreement by all councillors within the process that we went through and the meetings we had, was just the concern about any reduction in our parks maintenance, trees maintenance, streetscapes maintenance, and we've been in discussions with our directors on this executive over the past couple of weeks, and I think there's probably just still a bit of confusion in what we're proposing to reduce from these sections in the budget. So I just want to propose an amendment at the very end of the budget, and I sent it through earlier today, and I spoke with some councillors about this as well, and it's just that council notes that the proposed changes to the service levels in the city's parks and environment team as outlined in the statutory planning and budget documents. And it calls for a report to be presented to a future council meeting, providing detail on these proposed changes for a final decision on whether to proceed. It doesn't take it out of the budget, what's been proposed. All it does is it just allows us to have a report come at the next council meeting or the following one, whichever's easier for the administration, to lay out in a bit more detail, allow the community to comment on these proposed service level changes, and then decide whether we're happy with them as they're listed.
Let's see if the Deputy Mayor's happy just to take that as substantive.
Happy to accept this amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kristovich, are you happy just to?
Yes, I'm happy to accept it.
You happy with that? Councillor Dudek? I don't think it changes the intent, it's just asking for a report later on. No problem. Thank you. Councillor Corrado?
I just had a question. My apologies for not asking this offline earlier. On page 561.5 about the installment interest charges, are we proposing that we adopt an interest rate of 1.5% even on the rates smoothening? And we didn't have this option before?
Mr. Richards, on the rate smoothing, is there any charge?
No, there isn't charge on the rate smoothing.
So is this that it's just that we are adopting an interest rate of 1.5% where the owner has elected to pay rates and service charges through an installment option does not include rate smoothing?
That's not the rate smoothing. I think that's
No.
when they pay
Yeah.
in instalments. So if
Yes.
they pay the quarterly payments, the rate smoothing is where I think it's monthly, is it?
That's correct, yeah. So the four payments, there is interest, but there isn't off the smoothing.
Oh, okay, thank you, that's all.
Yep. Councillors, is there anyone else? If not, I'll go to Councillor Reid.
Thank you. I agree with most of the comments of Councillor Midgar. I don't think we're in a position, I believe we are in a position to have it reduced. And I do think that across the board, as we've said in many budget meetings, as Councillor Dudek said, that we can reduce certain things, and we should be. And some of the KPIs that, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your view, that the CEO has to enjoy, that are maybe not necessary going forward, and they perhaps shouldn't be there because it's a cost factor too, because what has to be achieved, it's got to be in here to make sure it gets costing. I agree that with the maintenance issue, but it's not just, with regard to the parks and things like that. It's also to do with the buildings. I've had on the budget, since 2010, trying to get a women's shed. That's still not there. Lots of things aren't there that the community's been asking for, and yet we change things and bring things up that, lots of the community about boardwalks and trams to nowhere and all sorts of other things that are going on. And whether or not we, like our 1 million trees, that was a KPI of a previous CEO, which we won't comment on, but because a lot of trees die. But we've got some areas where we still need a succession planning for trees, and our new manager is working on that and loves listening to us. So, there are things in here that we could change, and I've said them before, we keep going around the corners and what is important. But, some of these things like the RMS and the, AI and things like that, yes, we have to keep on top of some of these things, but I don't think it's necessary, especially when we're looking at our staffing levels. And that's not being listened to. And I have actually said it before, and quite a few councillors have said it before, and at the last meeting that I recall talking about it, one of the councillors did say, again, about reducing the workforce if we're going to have all these technology things to reduce the workforce, but our workforce is increasing. Now, whether we actually need, because some persons never heard that and said it was never said before, so whether that actually needs a proper motion, we will have to just do that, I suppose, going forward. I think too that, things like our underground power, I've said before, this should be a push by state government under the MUST program with sewerage. The whole thing that started in 1998, and we were one of the first suburbs ever to get underground power under this process. And it was agreed at the time that the council should have been lobbying the state government to make it under the MUST program, under the sewage program, and not the way that's going on. So it is important that we do these things, but it is costly and some people don't see the value in it. And even though we spend far too much money at Scarborough, I think areas such as Scarborough and Dianella, which apparently gets the most hit by storms, are the two areas really that get impacted so much with the wind that should be a priority. And yet the government doesn't look at it like that. And when
I've lost you, Councillor Reid.
well, it's a program. It's a program of underground power, etc.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the budget.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Some of these things aren't a priority to the people that are actually having to pay the bills. And yes, not everyone around this table here are ratepayers. So whether they understand it, don't want to understand it, or value it, then, you know, it's different. But it doesn't matter, because if you pay, I think the comment made before, if you're paying rent, or no, I think it was Councillor Kristovich said, if you increase it, then the rent people get it anyway. So somebody anywhere in the city of Stirling has got to come from a cost. And I can't support it because I don't think this is in line with the people's needs as much. There's too many things that have been outstanding for years and years. And I think the maintenance of the buildings, as I said before, is not captured here. And we have to do a serious different look on our tree canopy, succession planning, etc. And the state government's got to have a realism too.
Ooh, there's a lot there. Thank you, Councillor. I just got to clarify, and it's not to add any debate, but it is important to note that to get here, this isn't about administration throwing something in front of us tonight. This is a body of work that not only takes on board the strategic community plan, which is community consultation, it takes on board many, many hours of workshops, which you are all well aware of, and staff time to work through this process. And noting that it is always a balance, councillors. You know, you are the first to know that you're always advocating for your particular communities, which is why even after this item, we have 5 notice of motions tonight, which will all take resources and considerable funding in some future year budget because of the needs of the community. So there's those cost pressures coming on. I also just want to highlight, it is hard. While as elected members, you look at that part of it in terms of projects and services. The City of Stirling does have a large staff. It has something like 1,500 staff. That's because we're predominantly a service-based environment. That's what local government does. It looks after 250,000 people. Our population is the size of the Northern Territory. So all of those staff are doing services and projects that many times are either yourselves or past councillors have put those up as notice of motions or fought to have them. I just think it's important. And I think to sometimes bring up things like RMS and AI and suggest that an organisation of this size, possibly one of the largest organisations in this area, if not the state, doesn't invest significantly in that to protect things like privacy and to ensure we're at the cutting edge of efficiencies, I think is, it's just underestimating the impact that will have on the future business. Councillor Giudice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, you stole a bit of my thunder there, so thank you very much. Might be a bit shorter in my conversations here. Look, I was just going to say, look, we did go through a significant amount of scrutiny, 4 meetings, number of conversations with executive and officers, and then a number of conversations between the council collegiate as well. I do appreciate some of the commentary tonight about the struggles that will genuinely are being faced right now in our communities, and this won't be something that will be somewhat welcomed. But we did look at the balance. We did consider that, and to think about something like a 3.1% rate rise, that's $3 million we've got to find somewhere in that budget. And we went through a very, I suppose, considered review over, as I say, 2 or 3 months. And it actually probably even, as Deputy Mayor, Councillor Perkoff said, you know, the moment we minted the last year's one, we started looking at the next one. All I can say is that I think we found the right balance. It will be tricky for some members of our community, but we do have rate smoothing and instalment payments. And I think we've got to continue on with what we're doing right now, and we should just consider this tonight as being an appropriate approach for this financial year.
Thank you. Deputy, would you like to close debate?
Thank you, Mayor Irwin. Thank you to the councillors for the contribution. I do agree with one thing that Councillor Rees said. Around this table, we are all ratepayers, Mayor Irwin, and I hazard to guess that around this table we're all had mortgages at one stage as well. But guess what? We're still here. We're still here in the city of Stirling. We haven't gone anywhere else. So something must be working in this great place. Don't think for 1 minute that we are not empathetic as councillors, as decision makers, and as executive to the cost of living pressures. Cost of living pressures are nothing new. There are levers that state and federal governments can pull. They're the ones that pull those big levers that cause the interest rate rises. It causes your bag of Coles groceries to be $65. It's not City of Stirling, I can tell you that, 100%. If you just go back a few years, Mr. Mayor, we pumped in about $43 million from reserves into the City of Stirling economy because over 2 years we raised the rates at 0.9% only. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, someone. We did that and we didn't look back. How did we do it? Because we were very prudent with our previous budgets. We had some money in reserves to be able to do that. So what does it mean this year? $66 average. I think per ratepayer, I read in the report, works out to about $1.30 per week, Mr. Mayor. It's not a bad sum for the, as Councillor Giudice would say, the balance that we had to reach. Councillors, I hope you're mindful about the fact that if you vote against this budget, you're not just voting against 4.9%. In fact, you are voting against the entire budget. You don't want to pass any of it, really. I mean, you're talking about the rates, but if you come in here thinking, okay, well, that's what I want to say, that's what I want to do, that's the only thing that's of importance in a $350 million budget, $1.30 odd per week, and you don't want to pass this budget, please be mindful about that, councillors. It's in your hands. Councillors, let's do this.
Thank you. And with that, that closes debate. So I will put the adoption of the municipal budget to the vote. Councillor Olo, got you, and thank you. That is carried with Councillor Migdale and Councillor Reeve voting against the budget. All other councillors voting for. That is carried. So with that, we have now adopted the Strategic Community Plan, the Corporate Business Plan and the Municipal Budget. I did make a brief comment, and with your indulgence, I will just finish off by saying thank you to the Deputy Mayor and to all the councillors for your significant body of work in doing this. Also, through you, Mr CEO, to yourself and the executive team and all of your teams, particularly Michelle Wozencroft, who's here tonight, and your team, through the strategic work that you have done in corralling councillors and the executive team to be able to get to this stage. Do not underestimate the body of work that sits behind all of this in trying to gather 250,000 people's views, you know, and whilst we don't ask each individual, there was significant, it's in the thousands of people who across multiple forums are asked their opinion to shape the future Stirling. As you heard tonight, it's not always a unanimous decision. There's certainly people who probably feel like they've missed out and budget things for their local communities, and others who've made those compromises as we go through. But ultimately, you are not only adopting a budget that delivers on those aspirations of the community for all those nice things that make our place such a wonderful place to live. It's also so that this organisation, as a big organisation, can deliver that through the corporate business plan and through the CEO. It's a significant body of work, and I can't underestimate the amount of staff and the cost increase and the cost pressures that we as a local government face. You know, I know there are different figures that are bandied around, but it's important to note that even just through things like those recent fuel crises, the impact of that throughout the local government sector was not only the immediate effect through things like bitumen increases of 20 to 30%, but all of those things like those transport costs through every part of produce or things that local governments use or products. As local governments, as the end user, we were told by state and federal governments that we have to cop all of that and be able to fund those things. So local government as the end user quite often cops much more than a 3 or a 4% increase on many of those things. And I think when you look at a budget that is a decrease or an increase that is around CPI with a 5-year average below CPI, I think that's a pretty good outcome for our ratepayers and puts us as one of the lowest rating councils in this state. So congratulations, councillors and the teams who are behind it. Well done. Thank you. With that, council, it is now 9:15. With your no.
We take a short comfort break.
And I know there's some people in the gallery. This is only a 2-minute comfort break, but I can't sit still. So with your indulgence, we'll just have a 2-minute comfort break. Straight back, councillors. This isn't a go call the relatives. This is a 2-minute comfort break. Thank you, everyone, for your indulgence. We're all much happier now. And we'll, yeah, another 3 hours or 4 hours in us. That takes us to item 13.5, which is a statutory review of the CAT Act 2011, City of Stirling submission. Do I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Ree, you're moving the officer's recommendation, and Councillor Christovich is second. Anyone opposed? Councillor Dudak. Councillor Ree.
I think the cat situation has gone on for a long time, and it's been talked, debated. We've had some really very passionate people of the community that have come to this meeting, have had petitions for and against, I might add. But I think the principle is still the same, that trying to control it, it is difficult. A lot of this is still coming back to the department and what they're doing, and I think this is still a long way to go. I mean, there is a lot of problems at the moment, people saying that because we've reduced the amount of feral cats, our foxes have gone up, the snakes have gone up, and let's not forget the mice and the rats. So unfortunately, that's the environment. One goes up, one goes down. So we've got to somehow control it. So I don't have a problem about supporting this tonight, because even though it's still got to go further, we have to start. And I think this is good that the department's on board.
Thanks, Councillor Christovich.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Look, on the back of the ECU discussion where there was 18 more people opposed as opposed to for the motion, this one, it's 144 people have actually responded, so this has got to be like almost a record, I'd say, with 85% supporting what we're doing here and 14.58% against. But what I will say is it's pretty obvious that the CAT Act is something that the state government needs to do a lot of work on. It's their responsibility to build the framework. It is an entire state issue. It's been left in abeyance for way too long. The state government needs to take some responsibility and set some direction. And I think it's great that we're giving them the submissions from our community so they've got something concrete to work with. And let's hope they get through it quickly and get back to us as soon as possible.
Thank you. Councillor Dudak, I've got you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I might just ask Councillor Christovich for calculations on the percentages again, as he did for the previous submissions. But I am wanting to speak against this, and specifically against the part of our submission which talks to cat containment. Now, tonight, Council's being asked to endorse a submission to the state government advocating for a blanket statewide legislative mandate for cat containment under the CAT Act. While I understand our admin's desire for a consistent framework, I can't support the sections of the submission that are pushing to lock cats permanently indoors. Now, when you look at the reality of forcing a semi-wild territorial predator into an indoor environment, a very strong argument emerges that cat containment laws are not just out of touch, but are actively cruel to animals, and also remove a vital buffer between our own homes and pests. Now, the argument we constantly hear is that cats can't eat enough mice to stop a plague, but that completely misses the biological mechanism of how cats control pests. They don't just reduce pest populations by killing them, though they do a pretty good job of that. Cats control territory through chemical deterrence, often. Now, studies on predator-prey dynamics show that cat urine contains specific chemical compounds that rodents have evolved to detect. When a mouse or rat smells a cat marking its territory, it triggers a massive spike in their stress hormone levels. It causes two massive localized benefits for us, thankfully. Now, one is area avoidance, where rodents actively avoid settling or nesting, and reproductive suppression, where constant exposure to predator scents prevents female rodents from breeding and can drastically reduce their litter sizes. Now, by locking up our cats, we're removing this landscape of fear, as it's called, and from the environment, essentially giving mice a stress-free green light right up against our homes before they reach plague proportions. Now, just to caution everyone with a very brief one-sentence history lesson, humans have evolved alongside cats for thousands of years. We give them food, and they keep our homes completely free, homes, campfires, completely free of pests, make them clean, diseases. When we erase this working relationship that we've built, what do we replace it with? We force residents to rely entirely on highly toxic, environmentally destructive chemical baits and rodenticides. As my friend, Councillor Christovich, has raised in this chamber before, when we put out these pesticides, a poisoned mouse is eaten by a native owl, and that owl dies too. Finally, another argument you hear for cat containment is that it increases their life expectancy. But this prioritizes, I think, quantity of life over quality of life. Cats are solitary, territorial predators, hardwired to patrol, climb, hunt. Forcing them into the same square box we confine ourselves to goes against their evolutionary biology. It leads to high rates of obesity, depression, and something you may not have heard of, that I hadn't until I did a bit of research on this over this week. Severe health consequences like feline idiopathic cystitis. A painful... Yes. Anyway, it's a painful bloody bladder condition not caused by bacteria, but by chronic stress and sheer boredom of confinement. So sure, your cat kept indoors may live an extra 5 years, but is it worth it if those years are spent obese, severely bored, and medicated for anxiety? Just so we can feel better about conservation. A shorter life spent expressing natural biological urges is arguably a much better life for the environment. One final thing I will say is obviously cats do kill a lot of birds. None of us like it. When I was young, my outdoor cats as well killed our neighbour's bird. What we did is we chucked a bell collar on it and it completely stopped. No more birds were left on the doormat, and I would sooner mandate bell collars than I would cat containment and go against thousands of years of a symbiotic relationship that we've built with our feline friends. So I might just attempt an amendment because I don't want to completely vote against our submission. The amendment would just be to remove the paragraph on cat containment from our submission, subject to the removal of the paragraph on cat containment. It doesn't say that we're saying the state government can't do that, but I think it's perhaps ill-advised for our council to endorse cat containment on a statewide level without thinking of the consequences, more pests and unhappier cats.
Thank you. I'll get some advice, but I would suggest that probably a foreshadowed motion because it's effectively a very significant part of the submission because it's all about cat containment.
Yeah. If that's fine, I'm happy to do it as a foreshadowed motion. That seems reasonable.
I think that's safer to do it. Everyone understands the intent.
In that case, I might just then ask councillors to vote against this and support the foreshadowed. Thank you.
Yeah, no. And I commend you on the amount of research you've done. I learnt something then. Yeah, I've got Councillor Proud first.
I'll be really.
Can I just also flag, this has come to us like many times and it's gone through the Walga it's gone through many things. It's 9:30 and we have significant agenda still to get through before everyone talks about cats again. Councillor Proud.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll be super quick. I don't need to point out that cats are predators. But look, I can agree with everything Councillor Dudek says, but then we'd both be wrong. So 85% of our community have spoken in support of cat containment. That is the main game here, and I thoroughly support it.
I got you, Councillor Perkoff.
No secret, Mr. Mayor, that we used to be dog people, now we're cat people. Interestingly, for thousands of years, the cats have been reared. They really are something special, domesticated cats. Now, here's something interesting, Mr. Mayor. Just going to read a paragraph. Cats hold a uniquely protected status in Italy. Since 1991, national laws has made it illegal to kill, harm or relocate feral cats, meaning they're free to roam. I don't advocate the same way for feral cats. We know about feral cats. But domesticated cats, which provide so much comfort and peace to a lot of people, why would you really want to lock them up? They're not an animal that's ever evolved to be locked up. I hope this doesn't end up in the news, this next bit. In the last 4 days, 4 days, Mr. Mayor, three mice my cat has caught. No one cries for these mouse or mice or says, "Oh, poor little mouse" or whatever when they see them. But that's what they do if they're well trained. I tell you, we're over-regulating everything. You can't fish, you can't have a cat, you can't let your cat out, you can't have a tree in the backyard. Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor. But it's just too much. Over-regulating.
Councillor, can I just say, you were the one that just voted to regulate the fish. Yeah. Let's be very clear. There's a lot of blame going on tonight. This is you guys as a council.
I know. Mr. Mayor, no lockdowns for cats. I like free-range domesticated cats. Thank you.
Councillor Reid, do you want to close this one off?
I think the intent is taking this, remember, to state government. And it's even in this definition, it doesn't say what cat containment is. We know that when we changed the rules, City of Stirling, in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture at the time, I think it was, and Environment, that there was to be no cats within 200 metres of a water body that was of certain dimension. Now, that was many years ago, like 30 odd years ago, and my house was 220, so we could keep our cats. And our cats lived to about 18 years old, but they were inside cats. They went out during the day, they all slept inside at night. Didn't have a problem, right? It depends on parenting. Parenting is like anything, whether it's a dog, a cat or a human. I think this is what we're doing with this. This is an education program. So the containment can be different. Some of those people had a whole backyard all fenced off because they didn't want to have their cats inside, but they wanted them outside. So they've done it. And one of those still has today that I know of. So containment
We're just closing
can be
debate,
different.
Councillor, so I'll just get you to wrap it
Yeah,
up.
but containment can be different. So while I agree with Councillor Dudak, I do think that we're putting up a submission. It doesn't necessarily go to Parliament. When it does go to Parliament, I mean, it's not endorsed by Parliament. When it does come back, we'll be able to vote on it again because it's legislation and make a comment of how they've defined containment.
I don't know if we will.
We hope. But you never know with the state government, the way they go. But there is no formal definition in here. So to me, I think that if we're endorsing it, it's a step forward, and the definition of keeping it, if we say no cat containment, we haven't got a good definition, and I think it will destroy the intent. So I'm happy to go along with this, and then when it comes back, then we can make another comment.
I just wanted to clarify, it doesn't come, this is but it is just a submission. Yeah. The state government don't come back and say, you're happy with what we did. No, they will do it. Okay, so I will put this to the vote. All right, we have 3 cat people. So that motion is carried. We have Councillor Dudak, Olo and Perkov voting against, other councillors all voting for it. Thank you, councillors. We're on to item 13.6, the Walga Annual General Meeting and Annual Conference. I just need some nominations for councillors that will be there who were happy to do the voting. I've got Councillor Proud and Councillor Papar to put their hands up. Anyone else who's there? I think we need some more, like deputies. Please note, councillors, this is, Councillor Ree, is it happy to? Yeah. Yeah, good. And that's a very good point, councillors. Remember, this will be likely during the day. You'll need to vote on the city's behalf. If you cannot attend, if Councillor Proud or Councillor Papard cannot attend, please notify us with plenty of time. Councillor Ree and Councillor Migdale during the day. That is all right? Yep. Councillor Migdale and Ree. This isn't about whether you attend or not, and you're welcome to sit next to them and have a chat about how they vote. But this is just people to hold that key card. Great. Okay, so we've got those. Can I have someone move? Councillor Kristovich happy. Councillor Rees seconded. And we'll just go to the vote to approve those. There we go. I think that's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We have 13.7, appointment of 2 alternates to the 23rd of July Mindarie Regional Council. Let's just get that one. Councillor Proud.
I'll move for Councillor Giudice and Councillor Eon to be the deputies.
Thank you. And that's seconded Councillor Hatton. You've got a question, Councillor Dudak?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just a quick question on this. I think it's an important meeting. I believe we'll have one of our councillors nominate for a position as well. Are we able to also approve the 3rd deputy in the case that either of these can't attend close to the date, or can we only appoint these 2?
Yeah. I think we can only appoint these two because they are already deputies, but because of the constitution of Mindarie, these are the ones that we have to appoint before each.
Yeah, no worries. I just thought I'd clarify.
As in, make sure you're there.
Yeah.
Councillor Iron and Councillor Giudice. Okay, so we'll put that one to the vote. That is unanimous, thank you. Okay, 13.8, milestone event application. Councillor Ree and Councillor
Happy to support that
Hatton seconded that.
as written.
Yep, is anyone opposed to that one? No. That, I'll put that one to the vote. Thank you, that is unanimous. Councillors, noting that our mate Jack Lacroix, I'm pretty sure his 100th is coming up very shortly. Yeah. Stalwart of the Naval Association. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. The stuff that bulks out the budget. Item 14, the notice of motion. So the first one of those, 14.1, notice of motion from Councillor Kristovich for Yokine Regional Open Space Improvements, page 670.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll defer to Councillor Giudice.
All right, Councillor Giudice.
Yes, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd like to just point out to the members of council the suggested alternative recommendation, and I'd like to put that motion. And I suppose a number of our councillors would know that our exec and our officers are looking
Councillor,
at... Yep.
we just need the alt rec.
All right. That council notes report will be presented.
No, you just take a seat. We just need the alt rec. That's it.
Can they come up?
Yep. I just need a...
There it is.
That's it. Councillor Kristovich is seconding that. Is there anyone opposed to that? Councillor Migdal? Yep. Yeah.
Point of clarification, can I just ask, given that there is a cost associated, does this not have to come to mid-year budget review?
No, this
Can
is,
I get clarification?
This is a report. This is just, no, well, the clarification is no. The council notes a report will be presented. If council was to make a determination after that, then possibly it would either be put on a forward budget, or if it was this one, it would go through a mid-year budget. So this isn't a budget item. This is a motion that council notes a report will be presented.
So as opposed to the substantive, which didn't require a report?
But I think this one is noting that a report will be presented. The other one was, yeah. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter.
The other one wasn't a report. The other one endorses.
I'm sorry, it doesn't matter because this is the one that you've got in front of you.
The other one endorses, so it wasn't a report.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You need a report first.
So the other one was endorsing a stage planning approach without a report. So this one is that a report comes on what that would look like. So it's just putting a step in there. Are you opposed? Okay. If there's no one opposed, then we'll put that to the vote. Thank you. That is unanimous. Yeah, well done, Shane. Thanks for your contributions tonight. Item 14.2, notice of motion, Councillor Elizabeth Reid.
Yes, that the city undertakes a review of the traffic and road safety issues at the intersection of Pearson Street and Rosewood Avenue, including potential options, engineering solutions, and the findings of the review be presented to the 27th of October Community and Resource Committee.
Second, Councillor Proud. Is there anyone opposed? It's going to be tough without a budget, but anyway. Let's, so I'll put that one to the vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 14.3, notice of motion from Councillor Proud.
Happy to move. Do you want me to read it out?
No. And councillor Hatton, you're happy to second this one? Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Ree, you opposed? No. Okay. Oh. No one opposed. I'll put that one to the vote. That's the cheapest one tonight. There we go. Item 14 point, that is carried, unanimous. Item 14.4, councillor Migdale. Development of a public art.
Yep, happy to move.
Let's just, which one are you moving? That one? That a report be presented. Is there someone seconding? Councillor Papard's happy to second that. Is anyone opposed to that one? Thank you. I'll put that one to the vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 14.5, councillor Giudice, your motion on 683.
Yes, a motion that's on page 679. Would like to move that one, please.
Councillor Iron, are you seconding that? Thank you. Is anyone opposed? No, I'll put that one to the vote. I'll just go a show of hands. I'm probably going a bit quick. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 15, notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting. Councillors, are there any notice of motions? Do you wish? It's all right. It's all right. Easy, easy. We've got time. I know you just sound a little bit excited. Just slowly, just stand up. Let us know what it is.
Thank you, Mayor Irwin. It's about to pop up. Proposed notice of motion. Here it is. Notice. Oh, it's gone miniature. I can't read it. Sorry, staff. I can't. Okay. Notice of motion. This regards Western Power tree pruning. We know it as something else. That council expresses concern regarding the ongoing widespread poor pruning practices undertaken by Western Power within the City of Stirling, particularly where pruning results in significant visual disfigurement, loss of tree canopy, reduced amenity, and diminished environmental value. I say so. There's a lot more.
Yep, that'll do. Good. Do you want to make it easy on you guys, do you want to just scroll and I'll just call them out as you... That's... No. There's a... Okay, so Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much. It says that a report be presented to a meeting of the Planning and Development Committee in the first quarter of 2027, providing an update on unhosted short-term rental accommodation in the city, including data on the number of approvals...
No, that's not what that says. What are you reading? Tony? Have you got two up? That one.
That's better. No, I've only got one up.
Okay. That's right.
Thank you. Let me start again. The report be presented to a meeting of the Planning and Development Committee in the first quarter of 2027, providing an update on unhosted short-term rental accommodation in the city, including data on the number of approvals, locations and complaints.
Yep. What's the next one? Councillor Migdale.
Sorry, I forgot about this one. That a report is presented to Council by October 26 outlining the feasibility of running a 6-month trial at 4 locations across the city, potentially using one dedicated car bay at a city facility like a library, where used tyres can be deposited and will be collected on bulk by city waste collectors.
The next one.
One more for the road. That the City of Stirling makes an additional 800 trees available to residents of the Lawley ward to be planted this spring planting season to help offset the effects of over 800 trees that are scheduled for removal by DevWA at the ECU Mount Lawley development site.
I won't sleep tonight if I don't make a comment on that. The irony after voting against a budget to put an item like that up as a number.
I know.
Next one. The cost of that.
See,
Is that all of them? Councillors, I do have to say that the last few council meetings and the amount of noms for what end up being such a significant, if you understood the amount of work offers us time to research some of these, that are really something that are a conversation during a point. They can't be used as a workaround for our normal waste strategies or our normal things that we're doing, right? Anyway, we'll take that offline. But you've just got to acknowledge the amount of work that goes into these. With that, it goes to 16 questions by members of which due notice has been given. I have nil. No new business of an urgent nature. We do have one more. We've got item 18, matters behind closed doors. So, Councillor Reid.
Is it? Still more, Jesus.
I don't see the necessity of going behind closed doors because most of the councillors, I think, at one time or another have come to this meeting
So
to discuss
everyone just
it.
hold for a sec though. We do need the
Just
CEO
moving
to
it.
leave. Councillors, is there any discussion that needs to be taking place with these? No. There's been. So, Councillor Rhea has moved it. Councillor Proud has seconded. There is no one opposed. Then I'll put that one to the vote. Oh yeah. Thank you. That is unanimous. Can someone? No.
No, didn't we just close the meeting?
No. Yeah. Yeah, but the CEO gets to come in to close it. We normally invite. And we welcome the CEO back in and note that resolution was carried unanimously. And we'll go to item 19, which is closure of the meeting. Councillors, thank you for your attendance tonight. Significant agenda. Thank you, officers, for your attendance. And the meeting is closed at 9:53 p.m. Thank you. Good night to viewers at home.